Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to another edition of Prime Hour on My Media Prime. This day we are going to be looking at the launch of the regional elections across all 10 regions of Cameroon. With regional elections are going to be taking place in the nation on the 6th of December 2020. We equally are going to be looking at the strike action called by lawyers, the Cameroon Bar Council, for a nationwide strike action. How far are the lawyers ready to go with what is happening or what they plan to do? We equally are going to be looking at this wave for increase in tribalism, regionalism, with what is commonly called today as the 11 million the northeast in the southeast center. There is the upsurge of what is called the Ekang in the western region. We talk of other names. I don't master them very well. We also are talking about the Anglophone crisis. We talk about the Fcfa people. So many persons are now wanting to identify themselves with either their tribe, with their region, and we are going to be finding out what could be the possible cause of this, with a panelist who in the house. Some of them are still on their way coming. We hope they join us very, very soon so that we can have a full package for what was built for today's edition of Prime Hour. We already are in the studio with Dr. Michael Ndimacho. He is a lecturer in some of our universities across the nation. Good evening and welcome.
Thanks so much, Leonard. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening to all the many televiewers, and we pray that we'll be able to have a good exchange and to be able to get informed about what is making news in Cameroon.
We also are in the company of Dr. Jean-François Eyenga Ondomboué, representing the CPDM party with us. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Bonsoir, Monsieur Léonard. Bonsoir, Dr. Michael. Bonsoir à tous nos milliers de téléspectateurs.
We are expecting Prince Joel to be joining us any moment from now. He's on his way, as well as Far Elvis Tayon, who left Boya today. We just hope that they join us very, very shortly. I start with the launch of the regional elections. Campaigns are going on. Not so much is said about the campaigns launched for some regions yesterday.
Yes, not so much because you realize that starting from the presidential elections right down to today that we're having regional elections, a lot of people are still hoping that the election promises, the presidential elections promises should be made, and a lot more are still waiting for the councillors, the mayor, to be able to prove their worth through the promises they made during the campaigns. And now we are having the regional elections, and many people are looking at the regional elections as non-event for them, especially when we go to the northwest and southwest regions. I was listening to somebody. He said, there will be no elections; it will rather be appointments, because we already know the majority that is going to be carried by the ruling CPDM. So Cameroonians are much more preoccupied by their day-to-day lives, especially with the suffering that people are going through these days. People are looking for what to eat, and I think that issues of elections are not issues that touch them very much. People are much more concerned about issues of the household, how to take care of their individual families, how to take care of education of their children, and of course, looking up to the central government to see what innovations they are going to do to help Cameroonians. And many people have been expecting, and given the initiative that this present government is having, many people are expecting that we should have a reshufflement of government so that a new blood may be injected into the system. But of course, since a presidential election, we are still waiting, and therefore it is not the regional election that is going to make any difference to Cameroonians, especially as it doesn't touch people so personally, although the fallout, according to the description, according to the election itself is supposed to be something that will touch people individually in their individual homes and their councils. But then I think that Cameroonians are much more preoccupied by their sufferings. I mean, Cameroon is going through untold sufferings. The Cameroonians are going through issues, and I think that they are much more preoccupied by.
Docteur Jean-François, les élections régionales ont été, les campagnes ont été lancées. Le RDPC est clairement sûr de remporter ces élections.
Oui, vous savez, l'élection régionale, c'est un aboutissement. L'élection régionale a commencé avec le vote du président de la République en 2018 et puis maintenant a suivi le vote des conseils municipaux et c'était là le point culminant parce que ce sont les conseils municipaux qui doivent voter les conseillers régionaux. Donc aujourd'hui le RDPC, je crois que il ne faut pas lire dans la boule de cristal pour savoir que le RDPC n'est pas déjà gagnant. Et nous ne partons pas seulement gagnants à une élection, nous partons aussi gagnants pour de nombreux défis, à savoir la décentralisation, qui est un outil essentiel dans le règlement d'un certain nombre de conflits. Et le président de la République s'est donné pour objectif de faire du Cameroun un État unitaire et franchement décentralisé. Donc, le vote du 6 décembre est pour le RDPC un atout majeur dans la continuité de la politique du RDPC, mais aussi dans le règlement des conflits, d'un certain nombre de conflits.
Du processus de décentralisation.
Oui, l'aboutissement du processus de décentralisation, tel que prôné par le chef de l'État. Vous savez, le Cameroun est un État jusqu'à notre date. Le Cameroun est un État unitaire décentralisé. Et pour que cette décentralisation-là soit effective, il faut justement qu'il y ait vote le 6 décembre prochain.
Okay, we have been joined by Evis Tayon. Your first reaction after you observed the launch of regional elections. You say it's a non-event for you?
When I get explanations on platform like this, it's a form of digitalization, it's a form of this. The kangaroo system will not offer anything good. Let no one deceive people that the so-called regional election is going to change things. I tell people that it is a smoke screen and a distraction. Il ne faut pas qu'on parle avec l'eau dans la bouche. You will not tell me that a party sits. Go to the Northwest region. He said, the head of state was elected 2018, and then, now is the councillors who are going to vote those for the regional councils and all the like, when you look at the whole system, it is a quack and a farce. You don't hear me very well. Why am I saying so? When you look at the way people babbled on media, the CPDM is a kind of party that has caged everything. In Bamenda, you have only one council that is for the opposition. One. So out of about 1,088 councils, about 1,000 councillors rather in the Northwest region, about 1,050 is already for the ruling party. Do you call that an election? When you come to the Southwest region, for example, an election that you have CPDM fully on the ground, that is called a one-man election. I would have expected the Yaoundé regime to just say, we are appointing councillors in the Northwest, Southwest. Tout ça sont des maquillages. Ça sert à rien. Absolument rien. Therefore, let people understand that we call this a distraction. At a time when people are yearning to eat, insecurity, total chaos, some persons sit and begin to gallivant on the corridors of dirty and false politics. And they tell you that, voila l'élection régionale.
Yeah, man. So, why did the MRC not go for the elections?
Because it is a kangaroo election. I have told you that there's nothing good. My brother here, Ondua, said some few minutes ago, is the fruit of digitalization. If you look at the explanations as per the descriptions of what regional councillors will do, ils ont au niveau de proposition, c'est fini. Dès qu'on fait la proposition, le chef d'État peut décider d'engager la proposition ou non. Ça sert à quoi? Therefore, when people sit and begin to deceive Cameroonians, the chiefs who are there, the councillors who are there, they are only going to sit there. Why am I saying so? Mr. Leo, if National Assembly and the Senate, toothless bulldog houses, cannot offer anything concrete to change Cameroon, especially in the current quagmire where we find ourselves. It's not regional councils in the name of digitalization. What do you say? You discover that the GOs, SGOs are still those who are told will still be learning over.
Okay.
Therefore, it's a non-event.
Okay, it's a non-event.
Non-event.
Prince Ndikum, good evening to you, and to you, Don Herman, good evening. Entry Elv, good evening, Prince. Anita Eno Takan, good evening to you. Ephraim Te, good evening to you, and to you, Tabot Rapper, good evening to you. Prince Joel is in the house. Prince, are you looking with optimism to elections that are supposed to take place across all 10 regions of our country on December the 6th?
Good evening to you, Mr. Leo. Good evening to co-panelists. Good evening to those watching my media prime and particularly Prime Hour. I think that the ball has been set already. There is no going back. The 6th of December is a day for regional elections. Whether we'll take it or leave it, is the day for elections. But I think that when you look at what is ongoing, let us, if you want to give a kind of a panoramic view about the whole show, you will understand that so far as National Assembly is concerned, because these elections, there are two principal actors. We have municipal councillors who voted, and we also have chiefs that are also coming in. But now when you look at the whole game, Mr. Leo, there is one thing, I think like Far Evis was saying, at the level of the National Assembly, the CPDM has an absolute majority. It is the CPDM, it is municipal councillors of the CPDM that are supposed to vote during regional elections. And when you also look at it, look at the case like the Northwest region. In the Northwest and the Southwest region, the only political party that has a council is the SDF, and the SDF has just Bamenda 3 council. It means in the whole of Northwest region, it is a CPDM and nothing else. And that it is but normal that a political party or a municipal council of a political party will not vote for the opposition. It means that even if municipal councillors of the Social Democratic Front, for instance, were to vote in the whole of Northwest, they are claiming just maybe a seat or not more than a seat. That's one of the aspects, Mr. Leo. And then another aspect is traditional rulers also come into the ballgame. But given that traditional rulers, not all, but traditional rulers today take a salary, it is but normal that a majority, if not all, are going to vote for the regime in power. And the CRM that Far Evis is representing, I think that given the fact that they are not part in the elections, already tells you that if we're to talk about regional elections, principally all over the 10 regions, the UNDP, I think, is the second political party at the level of the National Assembly with 7 parliamentarians. Now, we know their stronghold.
The Adamawa region.
Adamawa region. And then the second political party that has 5 parliamentarians is the Kabalibi's PCRN. We know their stronghold. It is around the Sanaga Maritime. Now, the CPDM is all over the 10 regions. It means that at the end of the day, what elections are we talking about? We're talking about elections that municipal councillors, obviously. I was watching the 6:30 Prime news on my media prime. I actually saw Peter Mafani Mosongo is heading the Southwest region. I saw people came out mass. He is just doing campaign, but I would, if to an extent I would have said that it is just a kind of a normal thing. Let the boss know I'm doing something. Because in the whole Southwest region, which political party has a councillor in the Southwest region? The SDF has nothing in the Southwest region. It means at the end of the day, the CPDM is sure to have a 100% with no ache. And at the level of the Northwest region, like I said before, it is just maybe Bamenda 3 that the Social Democratic Party has. But the truth remains that, Mr. Leo, elections are already set. The head of state had announced it.
But who do we blame? Who do we blame here? If anyway, is it not the CRM as those who boycotted at the elections, who might have gotten more municipal councillors and possibly changed the game to some extent?
Yes, there is something that still bothers me up to today, Leo. You know, we are into this deep shit where we are today because the SDF started this issue of boycott, especially in 1997 with the parliamentary elections. And this is where the whole issue, the ball game changed. And you know, when they boycotted in 1997, the ruling CPDM and whatsoever, they tailored their ways, their laws and whatsoever. Until today, things have been tightened up. And I even know that the CIM are still victims of circumstances. That started in 1997. And of course, they have been trying to change it in their own way, and things have been tightened already for them. So, but I think there is no other way in which we can gain power, in a democratic world, except through elections. Except that you take on activism, to be able to change power, and maybe you organize a coup d'etat to be able to take power. If not, it is only through elections that we are out there supposed to have legally handing over or taking over power. And therefore, I still blame the CRM today, because up to today, they have not been able to explain to us exactly why they boycotted the elections. Because the President Maurice Kamto cannot be saying, follow me, we do not know where we are going. Where are they following him to? He has not told us where we are.
The militants know where they are going to. So you don't know.
Why don't you say your manifestos to those who are not militants? Yeah. Are the militants only the only people who would remain in the CRM?
Join the house and you put a manifesto.
Or do you hope to have...
You cannot create a man's house on the fence.
No, I think that it is not supposed to be an in-house stuff. It is supposed to be something that you sell to the whole country. And me, in my bedroom, I listen to you, and I come out of my bedroom, and I join you in that area.
Why are you not convinced? The CRM says it is because of the Anglophone crisis. The war that is ongoing. Why? What else do you want the CRM to tell you?
I think that they should not deceive us to think that they are boycotting because of the Anglophone crisis. I think they are just trying to raise and take advantage of the Anglophone crisis, and I think that they should stop that. Let them stop that. It is not because of the Anglophone crisis that when they went for presidential elections, was it because of the Anglophone crisis? Or was there no Anglophone crisis by then? I think that they would have started from there to say that they will not go for presidential election because there is an Anglophone crisis. But because they went and failed woefully, I want to say woefully, the best way to preserve their image for somebody who has already announced that he's the president of the republic was just to stay put. How could you say you are the president of the republic and you go for council election, maybe, or parliamentary election, and you have maybe 10, 20, or 15 candidates, parliamentary seats? That would have been a very, very mighty disgrace for him. I'm
surprised somebody explained the party.
I'm not explaining the party. I'm trying to meet the leader.
I'm not sure Joel shares your view.
Ignorance is a bad thing. You explain somebody's party. It's bad to be ignorant on the air.
I think that Mr. Dimacho has the right to his opinion, but the reason advanced by the CRM, I may not belong to the party, but I think that they actually gave reasons, two principal reasons. They talked about the electoral system. They said that looking at the electoral code and the electoral system will be difficult to overthrow the regime through
the war that is ongoing.
And the war in the northwest and the southwest regions. And far from that, Mr. Liu, I think that during the municipal and legislative elections of February 2020, we actually saw the CRM engage into these elections before they boycotted. But if you look at what...
2 weeks. I'm sorry, the day before the deadline.
The day before the deadline. Saturday, Sunday, before Monday. But I think that when you look at it well, Mr. Leo, we actually saw militants of the CRM, those who were vying potential candidates, cry foul to the electoral system. Why? Because there were militants who said that their documents were deliberately retarded at the level of the different divisional because you know that before you compile for elections there are some documents you put in place, but this party cried foul that there were deliberate attempts from the elections governing body Elecam to prevent them from getting the total seats. And I think that they actually already...
briefly, this is not your time. I saw you, I gave you because you kept shaking your head when it was... Oui, docteur, est-ce que vous avez déjà... nous connaissions déjà à la composition des listes régionaux des militants du LDPC. Vous êtes sûr, vous savez que les Camerounais, normalement avec l'état des choses, ils veulent vraiment voir la décentralisation effective dans les 10 régions. Est-ce que vous êtes sûr que le LDPC va faire bouger les lignes, ça va faire, je sais pas, fast track?
Je voudrais expliquer un certain nombre de choses avant de répondre à votre question. Je ne sais pas pourquoi le MRC continue de parler de ce qui concerne les élections, étant donné qu'ils ont boycotté les élections. Les militants du MRC sont tout simplement victimes parce que le professeur Maurice Kamto, lorsqu'il a perdu l'élection présidentielle, ne pouvait pas permettre que un autre candidat soit député, puisque je ne peux pas avoir mon parti. Je ne suis ni président de la République et d'autres viennent être maires, députés et autres et autres.
Mais nous avions vu Frunzi n'était rien.
Non, attendez, vous ne pouvez pas, c'est un débat qui ne tient pas. Vous ne pouvez pas faire que lorsqu'on parle de Frunzi en politique, vous parlez de Maurice Kamto. Ça c'est un débat, c'est pas un débat. Non, le MRC c'est un petit parti politique.
C'est un petit, mais les partis qui
c'est un petit parti politique. Lorsqu'on parle, on fait bouger le RDPC avec quoi? Le parti de Maurice Kamto est né en 2012, où Maurice Kamto a été député dans l'Ofundi. Il n'a jamais été élu. Quelque temps après, il s'est présenté pour être président de la République. Il n'a pas été élu. Et vous voulez qu'il permette que ses coéquipiers, ses militants viennent être conseillers municipaux, maires, députés. Il ne peut pas. Puisque si vous êtes député, vous allez ravir la vedette à Maurice Kamto, vous allez prendre ce parti politique. C'est pour ça qu'il a vu qu'il ne pouvait pas. Il ne pouvait pas permettre. Vous avez vu qu'Abra Libi, il s'est d'abord rassuré que lui-même il sera député avant de permettre à ce que les autres soient là. Donc c'est comme ça. Et quand moi je parle élection, moi je parle pas d'un parti politique qui n'a même pas d'élus. La première mission d'un parti politique, c'est d'aller à l'élection. Et maintenant, je voudrais parler à mes frères anglophones. The main problem of CPDM now is to resolve Anglophone crisis. That is what is important. And the MRC, CRRM have taken the Anglophone crisis like a leitmotiv to
make political games.
To make political games. That is why in CPDM we don't agree with CRM. Le président a dit débattons, ne nous battons pas. Nous invitons toujours le MRC à plus de rigueur, à plus de tact, à plus de réalisme. Et il s'agit d'un problème de mort d'homme. Les gens meurent au nord-ouest et au sud-ouest. Moi j'étais en Sèche, j'étais en Dou, j'étais en Garbou, j'étais en Dor, j'étais en Tassem, j'étais partout là-bas.
Toi, tu es parti dans tout.
Oui, j'étais en Dou, j'étais en Sèche, j'étais en Tassem. Non! Mais vous voulez que je vous montre les photos? J'ai des photos. J'étais à Home Station, j'étais partout là-bas pendant la crise. Ils sont témoins, mes amis qui sont là-bas en sont témoins. Même le président du MRC n'est jamais parti au nord-ouest. Nous tous, nous voyons la crise là à la télé. Il n'est jamais allé, mais il parle de la guerre chaque jour. Le professeur Maurice Kamto a vu là où... Attendez, est-ce qu'il a déjà vu là où on tue quelqu'un? Il a déjà vu là où les gens entrent avec les couteaux? Il n'a jamais vu ça. Alors qu'il cesse de prendre le problème anglophone comme un tremplin. Nous sommes là, nous parlons de nos frères qui sont en train de mourir. Maintenant, pour parler élection maintenant, je peux vous rassurer que, vous savez, lorsqu'on vieillit, on ne s'attarde plus sur les petites choses. Le président Paul Biya est un ancien. Le président Paul Biya est une bibliothèque. Et il s'est donné un résumé qu'il va conclure. Entre autres, la décentralisation. Et je peux vous rassurer, Mr. Léo, que au soir du 6 décembre, après, on va nous décliner ce qu'on appelle le statut spécial des régions anglophones. Même comme d'autres savent déjà ce que sera le statut spécial, mais je sais que le président Paul Biya, c'est un stratège. C'est lorsqu'il va partir que nous resterons pleurer. Le statut spécial sera donc dévoilé.
Quand tu es fin stratège.
Non, vous savez, le MRC connaît deux choses. Le MRC connaît insulter et le MRC connaît le droit. Tout le monde au MRC fait le droit. C'est pour ça que la politique les a surpris. Donc moi j'ai un message à passer et chaque fois que je viens sur vos plateaux, je profite toujours de l'occasion parce que nos frères anglophones regardent beaucoup plus Prime Media parce que quand je sors d'ici, ils me font des messages, nous t'avons vu. Donc je profite toujours de l'occasion pour leur dire, sortez de la bourse, venez. On construit le Cameroun, surtout les jeunes. Le Cameroun nous appartient. Le Cameroun de demain nous appartient. Ne laissez pas que ceux qui ont vendu leur vie, qui sont allés en Europe, vous trompent. Sortez de la bourse et venez, on construit ensemble le Cameroun.
Okay. The MRCDC, when it comes to elections, you guys should not talk, eh? Because you are not going for the elections.
Yes, you know, I watch my two brothers talk out of ignorance. I said, let me clarify them here. You know, ignorance is a very bad thing. And, you know, people are watching and they know who is just talking water in the mouth.
The Bible says people perish because
of lack of knowledge. Let me tell you something, Mr. Liu. When you look at the presidential election that CRM went in for, now, what was it when we're moving on for elections? That in the course of the elections, since as we're already tabling things that were supposed to arrange at the level of the electoral code and all the like, and there were assurances that were false. Now, if you look at it, I told many people that even if you brought parties from Gabon, Israel, Equatorial Guinea, and Jamaica, they would not have beaten the CPDM. Because imagine out of 9 candidates, CPDM alone takes 71%. Does it tell you that any coalition of any sort would have changed things? No. So, when we take steps, we see that the state is not willing to address because the state is the CPDM is the state. I have got Dr. Ondwa mentioning how people should come, we have to construct. Those are words of deceit. Words of deceit because Dr. Ondwa is here. As I said, if the Kangaroo Senate House in Yaoundé and the Kangaroo National Assembly can never a day address the Anglophone crisis, it is not regional councillors that will arrange that. People should not be deceived by what the CPDM blow trumpets here. As a result of that, and I know that the population is intelligent, what was the situation with the CRM? If CRM tells you that they don't want to go for election because of Anglophone crisis, is it true or not? I got doctor said we took advantage. If we took advantage, is it true? The SDF who went in for saw the consequences. What happened? They lost everything in Northwest Southwest. If not the war, Honorable Bandam, who entered even Amorka, he paid the Amorka. I can tell you how much he paid from Bamenda. CPDM will not pay. But he paid as a political party to go to Batibo under exchange of gun battle. And they were attacked 3 times on the way. And he did not make it. What is the error of the SDF? I'm not talking about party. I don't want to mention the parties. Let me say opposition.
Yeah, but we're already talking about...
No, I want to cancel it. So let me move over to opposition in the Northwest Southwest. What was the error? When there is war, the ruling party takes advantage of it. Because they have the military that they could put on Dua in an armored car, and they will not put readily an opposition party who is going to fight them in that particular area. So at the end of it, where SDF led from the first opposition party to the 3rd or the 4th is because of the error in the Northwest Southwest. I am not hiding it. They know what I'm talking about. So if Ondwa sits here and blows grammar up and down, Mayfair Anglophone, they are not his brothers. Because if they are his brothers, Ondwa would have told the mayor, the parliamentarian from Gelemunduka, il faut crier fort à l'Assemblée nationale que si on ne résout pas le problème de crise anglophone, on ne tient pas une session. But Ondwa has his brothers in Gelemunduka, the other ones from Mayotara division, and they sit in and they are quiet in the National Assembly, quiet in the Senate. And I talk about budget. Is it normal that you see I talk about budget when people are dying? You come now, you talk about regional election. And Ondwa is here, blowing trouble at everyone that no some ensemble. You see how they deceive people? SCPDM has succeeded in going away that they cannot resolve the crisis.
Okay, is the CRM that is the brother of Anglophones?
CRM is the brother. Do you know what I'm saying so? CRM is the brother of Anglophones like all white Cameroons. Why? It is not easy to stand and say you are not going in for elections because of this. Mr. Leo, even on the knows that even when for election, the assist would have had. Whether I like it or not, it's a fact. If we went in for election, but we did not want to play double game. Why? Because we look at the electoral code. Ondua and his party militants in Yaoundé had carefully arranged the electoral code to suit them. Do you know that regional election is a one party show?
Okay, because
I can give you the evidence on the ground.
Yeah, because you
CPDM candidate from start to finish.
Yeah, because you people boycotted now.
Mr. Leo, if CRM had gone in for any election, the way in which CPDM works with Minat, works with the LECAM, they would have still carried the game.
Excuse me. The SDF has always worked with the same CPDM. Everybody, were you expecting that you will go for elections with a dead CPDM, or that people were going to leave?
No, not for dead CPDM, Mr. Leo.
The CRM is coming to the
we're not wishing to go for the dead CPDM. Our plan was that the fair ground was supposed to have been leveled.
But that is the ground that other parties have always participated in.
No, but if they participated, where do they stand? Today, CPDM is carrying the entire day. Are you telling me that for 38 years and above, CPDM is the only party that can say no?
But the CRM
it is because they have mechanisms to steal elections.
The CRM would not have existed now since things were not.
That they would not have.
They would not have created a party because.
No, they created a party with the intention of pressing hard on CPDM to adjust the electoral code.
But you have been pressing hard, nothing is happening.
And as nothing is happening, that's why we did not go for the elections.
Si on n'avait pas la crise anglophone, vous aurez
That is it.
quoi, Alex? Ici, avec
Very difficult.
I think in as much as the CRM, the boycotted elections, I think they were win. I call them a way win in the desert. I think all the issue. I'm like I'm a political observer anyway, and I think yes, the CPDM actually caused what we're having today. But I would like to tell the CRM that it is in times like this that you win the hearts of people, because the people, especially Anglophones, realize that the government has failed. This crisis is because the government has failed. Call it the CPDM government, I don't know. But they have realized this crisis is because the government has failed. And it was an opportunity, for the opposition to actually sing this aloud and get and win the souls and the hearts of people.
I'm surprised they are counting on election in this country.
Of course. I want to take an example of I want to take an example of DRC. I want to take an example of DRC. How many times did Tshisekedi, even the father, started the struggle? And people kept on saying, you will never go anywhere, you will never go anywhere. And up to today, did the opposition not take over power? I think that we should be realistic.
Anyway.
If you believe in something else than elections, means that you want to plunge Cameroonians into much more difficult times. Because there's no other thing that will be satisfactory to Cameroonians apart from elections.
It is surprising.
That is what we are. That's what we are saying. Because
elections.
Listen, I've made an analysis about the Anglophone crisis. And when this Anglophone crisis started, I was on a TV platform and they asked me, what is the solution of this Anglophone crisis? I gave two solutions. I said the first solution was dialogue. And the second one, which was very difficult for my co-panelists to take, was, I said the second one was war. There were only two solutions to the crisis. And you see, we boycotted the first solution, which was dialogue. And now we are plunged into war. So the issue we are saying here is that since elections cannot take us anywhere in Cameroon, you are not saying it clearly. And I think I'm just trying to make it clearer. Since election cannot take us anywhere, you think it's boycott that will take us anywhere, or you think it's a coup d'etat that will take us anywhere, or what activism? Then change the party into the kind of activism that people will follow you. Your manifesto and what people follow. I think that is a big mistake. When you are fighting, be in the house. Okay. It is only when you are in the house that you will know all the
Good evening to you, Ekwoge, and to you, Mengan Nsope, Anisel Forsak, El Gabriel. Good evening to you, Cha Ezekiel, and to you, Abai Nsim Don Pasho, and to you, Ekwoge already. Samuel Che, good evening to you. Gilberto Salo, Rene Benz, good evening to all of you watching us via social media. We are very, very happy that you take time off to follow our debates out here. I want us to move to our second topic for tonight, which has to do with the wave of tribalism in the country, regionalism. What is not right with Cameroon? Almost every region wants to turn back to itself and fight the national government. We know of the movement 10 million, the Northeast. We know of what is coming up as Peuple Ekang in the center south. We know of in the west region, there's another group of persons who are also coming up. We know of the Anglophone regions, Anglophone problems. We know of even here in Douala, where somebody like Elimbi Lobe is talking about les autochtones. Les autochtones, c'est nous qui avions cette ville. Il faut qu'on s'impose. What is not right in Cameroon with this? What would explain? Qu'est-ce qui peut expliquer cette montée de, in French, je crois, repli identitaire? Oui.
Vous savez, certains hommes politiques sont en train de... Tout ça part de la politique.
Okay.
C'est des hommes politiques qui entraînent cela. Parce que quand j'observe au quartier, un voisin, qu'il soit du nord-ouest ou du sud-ouest, n'a aucun problème à aller demander quelque chose à son frère qui vient du sud. Mais vous allez remarquer que tout cela vient toujours des hommes politiques. Quand vous suivez 10 millions de nordistes, c'est parce que quelqu'un a déjà les intentions pour créer un parti politique et venir gagner des élections. Quand vous suivez, si c'est nous qui avons créé ceci, c'est parce que quelqu'un se revendique pour être député ou quoi que ce soit. Tout ça, c'est des sujets politiques. C'est des sujets politiques, c'est la politique qui fait cela. Même les guerres qui naissent aujourd'hui, vous allez voir les enfants qui prennent des machettes de ceci. Cela n'avait jamais existé. C'est parce que certains partis politiques prennent des financements pour créer la haine, la division. Parce qu'une fois qu'il y aura division, il y aura la guerre. Parce que certaines personnes pensent que à travers les coups d'État, ils peuvent prendre le pays. C'est pour ça que vous voyez ce repli identitaire. Les Camerounais ne se reconnaissent pas dans ça. Moi, par exemple, quand j'arrive dans une boutique, je n'ai pas besoin de savoir qui vend dans la boutique. J'achète ce que j'achète. Vous allez voir mon frère qui est peut-être du nord-ouest ou bien qui est de l'ouest. Il va venir me voir, il va me dire, mon frère, j'ai tel problème, je vais résoudre, je vais aussi aller voir la même personne. Mais ce sont des hommes politiques, parce qu'ils pensent qu'au travers de cela, ils peuvent gagner des postes politiques, ils peuvent renverser le régime. Je leur dirais non, le Cameroun, les Camerounais sont très éclairés. Ils disent que le président Paul Biya n'a rien fait, mais je vous dis, Léonard, dans certains pays d'Afrique, on va dire à quelqu'un, bon, c'est la France qui vous met mal à l'aise, c'est la France qui fait ceci, ils vont prendre des machettes, ils vont commencer à s'égorger. Vous avez vu dans plusieurs pays, vous avez vu des guerres, vous avez vu ceci. Mais au Cameroun, c'est vrai que ça commence à arriver, mais on n'a jamais atteint ce stade. Parce que quoi? Le président Paul Biya a mis l'accent sur l'éducation. Arrivé même au fond d'un village, vous allez voir qu'un grand-père a son BPC, même dans la poche, même s'il ne travaille pas avec. Okay. Ça permet qu'il soit éclairé. Donc je voudrais dire au parti de mon frère que ce qu'il pense là, avec le repli identitaire, ce que vous faites quand vous partez dans les tournées là, dire aux nordistes que le président Paul Biya ne les connaît pas, dire aux gens du sud que regardez comment vous êtes une télévision. Ici à Douala, part même jusqu'à filmer le village du président pour dire aux gens, aux frères du président que votre frère président, il ne vous fait rien. Vous partez au nord-ouest, leur dire que si la guerre continue, c'est parce que le président ne vous regarde pas, il ne vous appartient pas. Il faut arrêter cela. Okay. Le Cameroun est une terre de paix. C'est le langage que nous avons au RDPC.
Yeah, let's take the case of the movement 10 millions de nordistes. Can we say that it is an offshoot of underrepresentation or underdevelopment? Can we say they are also not represented? They feel that they are not aptly represented in Yaoundé?
Sure, Mr. Liu, when you look at the 10 million Nordis, they actually felt that they are a minority and that one way that their voices could be heard at the different quarters at B would maybe be to form a very strong team, which was the 10 million Nordis. And with this strong team, like he said, was because the truth of the story is at the end of the day, a political party will come up. Now, it was to form a team and to send their voices to the different quarters at B. But Mr. Leo, the issue of tribalism.
Yes, I want us to be clarified. When you say 10 million, the Nordis is minority. Are the Northerners, are they the minority in Cameroon?
Not quite, Mr. Leo. We should be able to say that before now, the North, during the days of the former president, Aïdjo, the whole North was just a single province.
That they minority.
No, Mr. Leo, no. Progressively, the Northeast, go close to them, they will tell you that they feel that they have not been given their position. When this idea came up, I spoke with a friend whose name without publicity, Sisi Babaga, who is one of those who are actually concerned with this whole show. They feel that their voices are not being heard. They feel that they belong to the minority. Because if you look at, Mr. Liu, just take a look around and see some of the jobs that have been reserved to those of the North. A majority of those who are wearing the yellow who are security guards, they feel that their voices that have been relegated to the bottom. And they feel that one way they could be heard was to build a very strong association called the 10 million of the Northeast people, so much such that they could pass their message. We do not know actually how the way to do this, but I want to feel that when I spoke with those who are concerned, some of those who are concerned with this, they feel, their opinion is that they are not being represented the way it is supposed to be. And that their voices can only be heard if they have a kind of association. We know very well, Mr. Leo, that during, it's not a digression, during the major national dialogue, so many associations were called up. Now, the 10 million Northeast was already coming up as a very strong association. And that is why the Minad boss already saw them being a threat. And that if we leave this association continue, the agenda they have, if they push this agenda to a certain level, it may be a threat to the government. And all these things, Mr. Leo, are boiling down to one fact. The fact that a certain region, a certain group of individuals feel that their voices are not being heard at the different quarters that are supposed to be. Maybe at the National Assembly, maybe at the Senate, where their voices are supposed to be heard. And now what do? They feel that they should create a kind of an association, come up with a president, and at each time the agenda should be pushed. Maybe during elections, maybe when a politician comes for campaigns, they say, no, we feel that we are not being represented the way it is supposed to be.
Okay.
We feel that we have not been given the desired position that we're supposed to have. The only way our agenda can be pushed forward is through this association.
When you get this coming up from the northern region, in the center south, we have a very strong voice of the young people. In the west region, we see many more persons from these regions asserting themselves. And in the northwest, southwest regions, you discover that most of those involved in activism are the young people. Is there these clear signs that there is a divide, a gap between those who for the past decades have been representing these regions and not aptly taking their realities to the quarters that be?
Your answer is found in the present government of President Biya, which is made up of octogenarians, which is made up of people who cannot walk, which is made up of people who cannot resist a conference, a session for 2 hours. That is clear. And people who have acted vehemently decided to remain there until they die. And that is why the youth have gone up today. Talking about the Northeast, I mean, you know, there is a political party that went to the North to make campaigns for presidential election. I will not call your president, Maurice Kamto. And there was a placard which said, no, Sampal Mouton. Do you know where that one came from? It is because during the year 2000, so when Maurice Kamto was being transferred to work in Gaoundé, he refused. He said he's not going to work with the Moutons. So the people were reminiscent of what happened, and this time they reminded him that he's coming to ask for their vote. There are no more those sheep that he described during those years. And of course, the Northerners too are feeling that if you have to win an election in Cameroon, you should first of all win in the North. So what is their own share? They have come back to us, but you come to us and ask, and we put you where you are, and we are actually almost living in abject poverty, and you are not even giving us a share of it. I mean, they have to rise. I mean, and you see that people are rising, although at the final analysis, there are just few who are compensated. The guy who has started this thing, tomorrow you hear that he's somewhere else. And that is the politics that we have in Cameroon and in Africa as a whole, which is not correct. And therefore, this is what we are decrying. Talking about tribalism, I mean, to be tribalistic is a human, human tendency, you know. Be with your family, be with your tribe, even in churches, you know, even with the Frank Masoro, whatsoever, when someone wants to have a job, he wants to get someone who is in a circle. Yeah, that's tribalism something. But then, I want to say here and strongly that tribalism is a spice against economic development. With tribalism, you have economic stagnation. With tribalism, you actually dismantle what we call a national cohesion. With tribalism, corruption is glaring because you cannot be tribalistic without actually removing something from the cover to give your brother. Yet it is our African, value to be able to share. But I think that the only people who do not look at the world 100 or 50 years ahead think that they should be tribalistic, because there is this issue of the national cake. When people want to eat now, there's someone who has written a book about the politique du ventre. And because people want to eat now, and they forget that tomorrow they will still have to eat. And therefore, they form all these associations to make sure that things come only for me, they do not go to other people. And this is greed. We call this greed. Because when you do this, you fear that another person shouldn't have what you should have. And this is what we are decrying. You have even political parties who are, on tribal basis. You see, MSC, you think about the Western region. You look at the CBDM, in the South. You look at the SDF, is the Northwest and the Southwest. So you think that all this thing is wrong. If we have to look at the world and look at each person and look at our brothers and sisters as real brothers and sisters, then these things will not be there. So the corruption and whatsoever, the tribalism that is stagnating Cameroon is something that has started far back, and we have to put an end to that. Because if we don't put an end to it, then we do not have a future in Cameroon. Now, and it should stand with the political parties.
When we see people, most of those agitating in most of these platforms, they are young people. Is it because they have waited for so long and think that it is time for them to emerge? This is a doctor here. Doctor is a young guy. And I don't know where his division is. Maybe it's somebody who has been there like Kabayege for more than 30 years, and they think that the old should give way for the young to finally be there and make this the project of the president this time is a grand finition, grand opportunity. Let the young people themselves do it. Is it not also because the young people have been under this yoke of the old for so long?
You know that the CPDM and the Yaoundé regime, they have one thing in common: divide and rule. Why did they bring this colonial system? Because they took it from France. France realized that when you divide the people in segments, you can easily rule them, that when they come together. He knows what I'm talking about. Dr. Yanga knows what I'm talking about. Now, when you find the tribalism ongoing now, it is a seed sown by the CPDM and the Yaoundé regime. 1,000%. Yaoundé hear me very well. When you look at them, the simple thing Yaoundé knows is that I want keeping the regime, because the regime is CPDM, CPDM is the regime. Il n'y a pas deux choses différentes. Ce sont des mêmes gens, même mamite. So what do? What they simply do, as you find this youth coming up, the only bad thing is that in the CPDM youth wing, they have brainwashed their men to understand that même vous les jeunes, vous pouvez attendre, laisse les grands gérer ce pays ici. That's why Dr. Yanga does not bother moving from where CPDM has kept him. But then other youth will bother. What is the issue with this CPDM party that we know? As they move along, in their tendency of divide and rule, what they do is that they have put in place these principles all around. That is why you see them recycling government officials. Can you imagine that in a country full of intelligent persons, the Speaker of the National Assembly will be there for decades? Does it sound normal? CPDM tells you it's very normal to them. The President of Senate, who is not very okay by his age, tells you he cannot, but CPDM, it's okay. So what do? In effect, CPDM and the regime in Yaoundé have decided to take Cameroon hostage, where we are today. In the course of manifesting their evil policies of divide and rule, what they simply do is for the fact that for those that can dance the rhythm, take for example, if you look at Enam, recent Enam results, Center South was dominating. Do you need to meet a soothsayer? No. Because a Yanga and his brothers will comfortably sit in Enam. Whether they right or not, they will pass. But look at it, 2017, when crisis started in the Northwest and Southwest region, at St. Just in Bamenda, out of 150 places, only 2 was resolved for the Anglophone. 1 Northwest, 1 Southwest. 148 came from, I said 2017. A Yanga can verify the facts. I'm talking now, I'm speaking. Yaoundé, remind him to verify. So if you look at it critically, the tribalism aspect, go even in the army, the colonels, the generals, you see them from Center South. It's a system that, what happens? CPDM puts in place a system to fight opposition party. The issue of party Bamileke, they are at the center of that thing. CPDM, at the center of some party Bamileke, even if I buy l'avocat on the Bamileke et tout ça. I am not for Bamileke land, but I'm the Deputy National Communication Secretary for MRC. I don't know how they looked at it. The national women is from the Northwest region. I was a MISPA. But you see, they work it carefully. So at the end of it, where we are moving is that for the youths.
Can I cue you? You say the CPDM and the government is creating tribalism. Are you saying that it is the CPDM that has created a movement, 11 million in the north? Is it the CPDM that has created a LACAM in the west region?
I am coming.
Yes.
CPDM creates these things directly and indirectly. 1, CPDM gives names at the background. And the names, people who don't understand, take the names and work on the names as party for this area. Now, on the other hand, because CPDM has decided to concentrate their power in particular places and areas, the others that are found wanting are forced to come up with this. That's what we call indirect. If I tell you, if you hear about the movement, the G Million in the north, do you know that there are areas in the northern region that they are studying under trees? He knows what I'm talking about. There are areas in the northern region that they don't have potable water. Northwest and southwest, they are even far developed. The far northern region is the least developed area in terms of social amenities in Cameroon. Mr. Yanga knows that. That's why at the end of it, all these things you find tribalism means that it's an indication that the government has failed. CPDM and the regime in Yaoundé have failed. But they don't want to acknowledge. When you start hearing this part saying, je suis à part, this was saying, je suis à part, it is an indication that Yaoundé regime has failed and needs to pack their bags and go in order to take over.
Okay,
vous avez déjà échoué avec le RDPC. C'est fini pour vous.
Okay, Mr. Leo, good evening. Tribalism in Cameroon is a shame, like in the administration and in some professional schools. We are tired and dead. Nevik is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo. When the government fails to use resources to train and employ the youth, let them be ready to use those resources to fight them. If something is to be done to appease the youth, let a federal state be introduced. This will give youths the opportunity to develop their localities. Bonkem Eric, writing from Douala. This one says, Mr. Fai, okay, you talk. He joined the MRC after presidential elections. MRC voted for the CPDM. Their problem is not CPDM but SDF. When the crisis started, we saw other parties march in Bamenda and Boya. Was the MRC sleeping? Tita is writing from Bafusam. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Government officials of Bia's core took 38 years to tell lies to citizens, instituted corruption to satisfy a certain group to remain at the top and frustrate others. Nkwo is writing from Buddha. Good evening, Mr. Leo. We should fool ourselves. It's a planned game. Elvis is right. Oben is writing from Muya. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Dear panelists, it's Kennedy writing from Bamenda. Please, this question goes to Mr. Elvis. What is your take? Seeing a chief who is to bring people together is displacing them. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I pray God blessings Senior Barrister Ngongi for saying he prefers the lands to be given back to CDC rather than to the Bakweri chiefs because they, but that's not the topic for today. Good evening, Mr. Leo. My name is Prince Will from Bamenda. I'm with you now. Okay, thank you. This one says, in those days, Cameroon flag had 2 stars. Please ask the CPD man to explain to us the meaning of 2 stars. Okay, Mboy is writing from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Regional elections is a known event to a common man. My day-to-day activities are more important than those called regional elections. Mezuzu Leona is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Leonard. Now, Doctor, I get back to you. Are people also agitating because the process of the full implementation of the decentralization has been so slow? People have waited for devolution of powers to local collectivities since 1996 to date. Things are not moving. People think that, okay, they should take it by force.
I think in English we say the end justifies the means. C'est vaudrait mieux la fin d'une chose que son commencement.
Okay.
Le plus important, c'est qu'il y ait la décentralisation. Et vous savez, dans ce processus de décentralisation, comme les mentalités évoluent de telle en sorte que il faut mettre sur pied une décentralisation forte et puissante. Surtout quand vous avez des partis politiques qui passent le temps à mettre les bâtons dans les roues de l'État.
Il fallait prendre plus de 23 ans.
Non, je vais m'expliquer, okay. Mr. Léo. Je vais dire à nos frères que lorsqu'on aborde un certain nombre de choses, il y a des répercussions. Le président de la République avait vu au préalable en la décentralisation quelque chose d'un peu compliqué sur les 226 langues que nous comptons. Le Cameroun compte 226 ethnies. Ça veut dire que la décentralisation au Cameroun n'est pas quelque chose de facile. Un pays où vous allez voir un monsieur qui est du centre a déjà accouché, a déjà fait des enfants avec une dame du nord-ouest, une dame de l'ouest, c'est-à-dire il est reparti. Or, la décentralisation est la décentralisation a une spécificité. C'est-à-dire que lorsqu'il y a décentralisation, il y a ingérence des populations du territoire. Vous voyez donc que c'est difficile pour quelqu'un comme moi. J'ai un enfant à Bamenda, un autre à l'ouest et un autre au sud. Vous voyez que lorsque la décentralisation intervient, ça devient un peu plus compliqué pour moi parce que j'ai 3 belles familles. Je prends un exemple. Maintenant, le président de la République a vu, non, cette histoire peut être un peu compliquée. Il a donc créé le mot vivre ensemble. Le président a dit, laissons d'abord ça de côté, vivons ensemble. C'est là où le mot vivre ensemble surgit. Et vous avez vu que nous avons vécu bel et bien pendant 23 ans, nous vivons ensemble. Quand soudain surgit des apprentis sorciers qui ont commencé à dire aux populations, le vivre ensemble n'est pas une bonne chose, il faut accélérer le processus de décentralisation. Le président de la République, comme je vous ai dit tout à l'heure, est un père qui comprend mieux ses citoyens. Il a vu, ok, comme c'est le problème de décentralisation qui est déjà beaucoup plus accentué, nous allons mettre sur pied la décentralisation. Ça, c'était pour expliquer un peu pourquoi le processus a mis long. Le président de la République a tout simplement préféré, et il faut que les gens le sachent, le vivre ensemble. Parce que pour ceux qui n'ont pas voyagé dans tout le Cameroun est une particularité en Afrique. Le Cameroun compte 226 langues, soit 226 cultures. Vous allez voir que il est difficile de dire à ces gens de vivre dans un système de tribalisme, comme vous étiez en train de parler tout à l'heure. Non, le Camerounais ne connaît pas ça. Le Camerounais connaît qu'il a les Sawa à côté de lui. Parfois même il s'habille en Sawa, même s'il est du sud, même s'il est de là-bas. Il est donc difficile d'implémenter la décentralisation au Cameroun. Mais comme le Cameroun est un État unitaire et décentralisé, le président de la République est donc revenu sur son slogan « Vivre ensemble » pour que nous appliquions maintenant la décentralisation. Et pour que cela s'applique, il faudrait que nous prenions le temps. Parce que nous pouvons vouloir une chose et cette chose vient nous tuer. La décentralisation mérite, il faut beaucoup de tact. Il faut vraiment beaucoup réfléchir. C'est pour ça qu'on a pris jusqu'à ce temps-là. Mais moi, jusqu'à présent, moi je préférerais que nous restons dans le vivre ensemble.
Et non la décentralisation.
Et non la décentralisation. Mais comme le président national du RDPC est un père qui sait comprendre ses populations, lorsque l'agitation a déjà commencé, il a décidé que nous passons à la vitesse supérieure avec la décentralisation.
Okay. Now, are these also the shortcomings of the hyper centralization of things at the level of Yaoundé, where almost everybody is getting frustrated that they will need to be going to Yaoundé to get almost the least documents? People think that they will take it by force to get to their regions?
Well, before I come to that, I want to maybe comment a little bit on what Dr. Yenga said. It baffles me that he should say that decentralization, because if you have children in all the region, it should cause an issue in decentralization. I think that much more we are looking at the economic fallout of decentralization, and that is what we are looking at. Whatever other issue of cultures that could be handled, and we have even realized that after waiting for about 23 years, they have even become more confused in implementing the decentralization, because they are like a little bit confused about it all. So, but I think it is supposed to be a welcome stuff, a thing, because when this was actually introduced, everybody thought Cameroon is changing. You know, the issue of running to Yaoundé to be able to say, I mean, I live in my village, Kononi, to go tell Yaoundé that we need pipe bomb water, or that we need a small primary school somewhere, or that we need this. I mean, we thought that was like, when you get to Yaoundé, you know about the botanics.
You have to get somebody who will be following up there.
And I'm twisting and all those kind of things that you get in Yaoundé, you get much more frustrated. We thought, I mean, we were going to be free from all these. But we have still realized that it is taking a snail pace to be able to get through. And then that is why you even find that Cameroonians, with all that zest, that zeal that they had to be able to welcome this stuff, I mean, people are not excited about it. Because at the final analysis, what even Anglophones are asking for, I don't know why they are forcing the issue of decentralization on us. We are asking for a federation, and they are forcing this on us because we are asking for what we know. You don't ask for what you don't know. just by appellations and seeing how some of these things are practiced in some countries, you tend to fear that it may not be the same, or it may be the same with us, although they are convincing us we'll have something different, that actually the councils are actually going to be handling certain issues. Like they say, the primary schools, the council will be handling them, and the secondary schools, and the council will handle. That is a welcome stuff. The only, part of education that remains in Yaoundé is a higher education. That is understood, because we do not have universities or the regions in Cameroon. But then, I think that the Cameroon government needs to be very, very honest in doing all these things, because this thing is taking too long, because some people still feel that they are going to miss out on what they were eating for nothing. They are going to miss out on some of those gains that we were having, the corruption and the bribery and corruption that was going on. They are going to miss out on that. But I think let them push this to the finish end. This is what we are expecting, and I've continuously decry the lackadaisical way in which this is being done. Coupled with the election, you already asked a question, why there is no that euphoria, that excitement that people are usually supposed to have in election. It's because they have seen that nothing is showing proof of, election is just an image of itself. It is like a mirage. You are looking at something, you think that there is something there, and it's empty. And then people are suffering. There's insecurity. There's hunger. People will not concentrate themselves in looking at something that is an empty basket in itself.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Greetings to all the panelists. To be realistic, we all know how the whole crisis elementarily started. We know that about 4 years ago, this whole mess gradually ignited by one group of important personnel calling for strikes. A simple question: which of the bar association go for the strikes? Is that of the northwest or southwest regions? Prince Williams is writing from Barombi Kang in Kumba. Esther writing from Yaoundé says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and to your rich panel. Say hi to Prince Joel and Kangaroo Man. Elections is for CPDM. Let's forget God will settle the matter. Good evening to you, Esther. Tabot Machiavelli writing from Yaoundé says he knows. Greetings, poor governance, poor administrative reforms, poor electoral system, poor managerial system, and poor judicial system are the issues which has to be tackled. If not, tribalism, favoritism, and nepotism will always slow down the advancement of the nation and then annihilate it. Okay, good evening to you, Tabot. Yes, no, far before you. Yes, far before you. Yes, no, I want to play draft. Okay, far. Now, are politicians fueling this? Like he said, Dr. said, Iyenga said that what we are living as tribalism, as regionalism, are persons who are using it to gain political relevance.
In real terms, when you study political science, it has to do with making use of opportunities at your disposal.
Okay.
It is stated in political science, unless doctor does not understand that. I want to give him a little bit of education that if he want to talk about introduction to political science and some of the principles that surrounds the practice of political science. But then, while coming to that, regarding the issues of attacking political parties and all the like.
No, that politicians are the ones spreading this, pushing this agenda.
Yeah, while looking at the aspect of politicians spreading the agenda, I just wanted to interject where I realized that Doctor does not master the issues of, decentralization. As he talked about children up and down. But on air like that, people still have to learn. It's not bad. We're learning in the process. But if you look at the principles, the law surrounding the governance of decentralization on the ground, the issue of whether you live from one area to that does not matter. That's not what matters. What matters is its application. And in its preamble, it states that all the things, it states that as far as the governance is concerned, the governance has been decentralized from the central system in Yaoundé now to the various external segments in the government. Now, but when it comes to its application, it doesn't tell you that. So at the level of why it has delayed, the excuse Doctor gives is a limping excuse, like a kangaroo jumping from one angle to another in disorder. So in effect, the government deliberately reduces that or makes it delay because they are eating from it. CPDM is a corrupt government. That one is for sure. And you know that when you want to start talking about the real aspect of it, it is a simple kangaroo system that they give the impression that government has left Yaoundé to us, whereas in real terms, it has not. It is still in Yaoundé. That's why you see the chef tears, they're still there to put over us. Now let's come back to the issue of the politicians here. Now, as per the aspect of the tribalism and all the like, one thing we must note is that politicians look at the gap where it is. Now, to tell us whether politicians are the center of tribalism, I don't want to really believe that much. Why do I say so? Now, you look at it, it depends on which party you are standing. There are parties that you call the national party. For example, if you look at, let's take for example SDF, it's a national party. National party because you have senators who are from Adamawa and other areas. But what does the regime give the impression? The regime has built an impression that it's an party Anglophone. That one stays. Now, if you look at CRM, as per when CRM filed its documents at Minat, it's an party national. But what revolves around behind? What revolves around is an party de Bamileke. That's why when Professor Maurice Kamto went to allengagedcitizens area in the far north, you saw how they were burning the materials of CRM. That is what they call amateurism in politics. He knows what I'm talking about. And at the end of it, he realized that even though the people from Honorable Kamer area, Kamer they rejected him, but they still forced the Central Committee, still forced him onto the people and went through. So what am I saying? At the aspect of that, for parties that went national, they are not on the agenda of what we call talking about tribalism, because any party that wants to go national, as per your text that you put in Minat, if you take Bamileke, automatically you have lost, because you need a man from the south, you need a man from the east. And if you take Bamileke, it means you want to be but the regional party, which you lost the effect. But now for other pressure groups, I want to be calling more pressure groups. I want to say that pressure groups are the ones who have taken in more on the tribalistic aspect for one reason or the other. Because if Aung Milong goes to Minat to put his documents, I don't think he put his documents as a regional party or so. He put it as a national party, which means that when elections are coming, they're supposed to have representatives in the south, in east, in west. So at the end of it, few persons, and that's why I come to answer the question, Mr. Leo. For the few politicians who are pushing the agenda of tribalism, they are politicians who work for the ruling party as satellite parties. People don't understand that the CPDM is there. They have their satellite parties that they call the opposition parties, who are not opposition, but they give the impression to the outside community that here the party opposing au Cameroon. But these parties are sponsored by, they know what I'm talking about. I don't want to be going to detail because it will be diverting. So at the end of it, for parties sponsored by the regime, they have to arrive on the regime's agenda.
Do you have
tribalism.
proofs? Do you have proofs?
I have proof of what I'm talking.
Some people say you people took money from.
I have proof of what I'm talking.
Some people say you people took 1 billion from the government not to run.
If they have proof, they should come on air and say it, because I'm saying I have proof, and I'm saying broad daylight.
Okay,
yeah.
Please,
so probably just to learn in what we're saying here.
Yes.
You see, the issue of tribalism is something which no normal party would want to enjoy. That's the bitter truth in it. Because if you come for presidential election, you come for municipal election, you will not be looking only at where you come from, you'll be looking at it to cover all areas. So, but what I am saying is that whether we look at politicians as Dr. Eyanga puts it or not, the thing is that they have given birth to that canker worm. So, when you sow evil, you harvest evil. And the evil is what is making them to stand tall, because they are from what the politicians come out to do, satellites connected to them, they have everything to stand up and say that no, nous ne sommes pas comme ça, nous ne sommes pas comme ça, because that divide and rule moves in that agenda.
Okay.
In favor of the ruling party, the CPDM.
But
what a dirty politics they put in place.
Isn't it normal that a people who are living in a particular region, Prince Joel, and who feel that over the years, for 10, 20 years, their issues are not discussed at the level of Yaoundé, even when they know that they have representations at the level of Yaoundé? The people of the north, if they feel that their issues are not well articulated at the national level, what is wrong for them to also think that we are marginalized? There are every possibility that we are going to be dominated by others if we don't speak out to defend our position and our interest.
Sure, Mr. Leo, there is nothing absolutely wrong with it. I want to say something to my friend and brother, Dr. Yanga. You know, the problem in Cameroon is not vivre ensemble. The problem is mangeons ensemble. The people don't have any problem with living together. The problem in Cameroon is people feel that they are not eating together, because they feel that they identify with the country, they identify with the colors of the country, with everything that makes the country. But now when it comes to eating, the people don't see themselves eating together. It now breeds this idea of tribalism. It now breeds these dirty, small groups that we have here and there. And another issue, like you raised, Mr. Leo, is the fact that when you look at the politics, the main thing that has brought tribalism, or the main factor, like you asked Fire Evis, is a fact of politics in the country. I'll give you a very simple example. During the presidential elections in 2018, we actually saw somebody who was with the CRM, Sam Sevene Ango. We saw him in the south, battling for the party. It was all over. He was poured water. Yeah. And the people of the south told him in their dialect, which was translated, that you are a traitor. And I think it is also maybe the same case if somebody of the CPDM going to battle campaigns maybe in the West region. So the central idea is
we saw a very tough one between the militants of the CRM and the party of Cabralibi, PCRM.
Sure, Mr. Leo. So the idea is, like you rightly asked me, is that some few persons or a group of persons feel that their opinions are not being heard. I'll give you a very simple example, Mr. Leo. What is killing us till date is our politicians. A very simple anecdote. In 2013, the people of Mr. Leo, for instance, voted a mayor and voted a parliamentarian, because it is party politics. Now in 2018, since it's 5 years term, in 2018, these same people feel that we should vote a new parliamentarian. The president, out of his magnanimity, extends it to 2020. It means they were given 7 years. Now the same mayor and the same parliamentarian are still voted into office. Are you sure it's the will of the people? You know, when these things repeatedly come up, because the only way people can make their voices being heard is through the ballot box. But now when people's voices cannot be heard through the ballot box, you start having now dissenting voices. And these dissenting voices can only be done through pressure groups, through associations. Mr. Leo, during the presidential elections, the people of Mayo Sava, where the president of the National Assembly comes from, Kavayege Jibril, moved with placards. The evidences are there. Yeah. They said, no, we don't want you to stand as candidate in this area. He was head of the list. At the end of the day, he did not only win in that area, he's president of the National Assembly. Now, when these things repeatedly happen, Mr. Leo, it is very normal for you to start seeing 10 million in Northeast. It is very normal for you to start seeing the Lakams. It is very normal to start seeing people in the Northwest and the Southwest. Mr. Leo, look at the issue of pressure groups. It's not today. If Africans successfully fought their way through the colonialists, it came from pressure groups. Even in Cameroon, in Africa, and the world all over, there were pressure groups from here and there. And I feel that all this issue of tribalism in Cameroon, Mr. Leo, can only be solved through one aspect. It can be solved through an aspect whereby everybody is identified. Identified in what way? Mr. Far Evis gave a very simple example. How do you explain the fact that a competitive exam, at the end of the day, you have just two people from the Northwest and the Southwest? Do you know that during the ended exams in Enam, one of the reasons that pushed the D million Northeast was that the whole North had 3% in Enam competitive exams? It's documented. Enam, in the competitive exam, the North-Regionals...
You say Yaoundé, but the Northerners have representatives in Yaoundé. The president of the National Assembly is from Yaoundé. We saw two of his children who recently graduated from Enam.
Sure. No, vous savez, l'objectif, Mr. Leo, l'objectif du MRC, c'est... Le MRC a ceci de particulier. Je dis à M. Elvis, vous avez une certaine réalité, c'est que lorsque vous parlez, lorsque le chien a mordu l'homme, vous ne parlez pas, mais lorsque c'est l'homme qui a mordu le chien, vous parlez. Vous oubliez une chose, dans le découpage, on va vous dire, il y a un pourcentage pour les enfants de ceux qui sont morts en guerre. Il y a un découpage pour ceci. Vous ne pouvez pas parler de ces choses-là. Et lorsque ça arrive que les enfants des gens qui sont morts en guerre, qui ont été choisis, sont peut-être du Nord, on ne peut plus utiliser un certain équilibre. Beaucoup de gens, la politique est très difficile. Je voudrais dire à mon jeune frère, et si vous avez à diriger, vous comprenez, non? George Bush, le président américain, disait souvent que il y a des choses que j'ai fait, pas pour mon bien, mais pour le bien des États-Unis d'Amérique. C'est-à-dire que il faisait certaines choses, certaines guerres et autres, ce n'était pas pour lui. Ce n'était pas pour lui.
C'est pas pour lui.
Non, c'est pour les Camerounais. Justement,
Comment tu peux dire ça?
un dirigeant, vous-même, si vous dirigez aujourd'hui, votre objectif premier, c'est d'amener votre pays à la prospérité. C'est pour cela que vous allez voir. C'est pour cela que vous allez voir la CONAC, vous allez voir le contrôle supérieur de l'État, vous allez voir l'opération épervier. Parce que tout le monde qui intente à la paix du Cameroun, le président de la République est fâché contre lui. Donc je voudrais vous dire que...
let me just ask, mais qui finisse non, parce que c'est toi qui vas venir.
Oui, qu'il finisse, ok.
Yeah, so I was saying that, Mr. Leo, you know, the whole idea of tribalism is going to take a very difficult time for it to leave Cameroon. I'm saying so because once Mr. Leo is appointed, for instance, he comes from home. Now, Menchuma suffered for long. They have not been represented maybe at the level of competitive exams, maybe at the level of ministries, maybe at the level of offices. What does he do? He needs to bring in a few Menchum people quickly while he's still in office. So much so that he can fill in that gap. And I feel that this problem of tribalism would have been solved if we had representatives as it is supposed to be. I give you a very simple example. If you go to Mutengene, where there is a police school, amongst the big teachers, my brother, there is none who is English speaking.
Yeah.
None. It's evidence. If you go to Mutengene, that is why the language of the military in Cameroon is French.
Yeah.
Tous les Camerounais ont les formes dès que tu as eu concours, soit armée, police, gendarme ou bi, c'est les francophones.
C'est très bien pour les anglophones.
Vous savez pourquoi?
C'est très bien pour les anglophones.
Vous savez pourquoi?
Si moi je m'en vais faire une formation où on me forme en anglais, je serais bien, je serais ravi.
Docteur Yanga, laissez-moi chuter. C'est pour ça que vous allez voir que dès que vous êtes en train de voyager, dans tous les postes de contrôle, on va vous demander, présentez-vous, monsieur.
Oui.
Est-ce que vous avez un jour, est-ce que vous avez déjà demandé un jour, please, can you introduce yourself? Depuis que tu voyages, tu as dit que tu étais en Kmer, tu étais même en Garbo.
Oui.
And I think that, Mr. Leo, all this issue of tribalism is something we will say today, say it tomorrow, say it next, I even say it after 100 years. If we do not go back to the drawing board. And going back to the drawing board is ensuring that everybody, there is regionalism. If there is a competitive exam, let's say, like the way they used to do it, for instance, with ENS, they'll tell you, for instance, at ENS Bambili, for instance, if they need 30 language teachers.
Is the problem the number of persons? Is the problem the number of persons who are taken into ENAM, or the fact that the government takes adequate measures to bring development to the respective regions? What if you have 100? If you have 100 persons at the level of ENAM who are working, and your village is so badly developed, and then another person who does not have the persons in ENAM, and everywhere around them is tired, you think that they will actually consider those who are...
Mr. Leo, the issue is, there is no way a divisional officer will not ensure that at least one person from his village enters one big competitive exam. Yeah. It means that the issue at the end of the day is, what is the issue? The issue is very simple. If at the level of big competitive exams like EMIA, like ENAM, there is this balance, they misjudge people for a very long time, misjudge subdivision. It's just an example.
You're not answering my question.
I'm answering your question.
I'm saying that. Attends, qu'il finisse. I'm saying that during the, I'm sure last year budget, public investment budget, we saw that there was a division in the South region that had the budget of the Northwest and Southwest region. Is that not where the problem is, rather than stressing on what you are saying?
No, that is where the problem is. And where does the problem comes from? The problem stems from the fact that at the level of representation, the South has an absolute majority.
No,
that's where the problem is. Let's just count how many ministers come from the South region. The problem comes from the... Le problème vient à quel niveau? C'est parce qu'au niveau du Sud. Il faut appeler tous les ministres, ça vient du Sud. Ça vient du Sud. C'est pour ça qu'à la fin, vous allez voir dernièrement, I saw...
Are you talking to televiewers or you are talking to the doctor?
No, I'm not talking...
At the end of the day, you are talking French.
No, but because I wanted him to understand. But what I'm saying, Mr. Leo, what I want us to understand here is that the problem is not budget. The problem is The fact that there is too much representation.
Okay.
That is why the South will have a multinational market of what billions, where there are villages, where, like Fa said, I saw in the North region recently, I cried, where children study under deplorable conditions.
Okay.
That money can build schools in all the 10 regions.
Okay. Unfortunately, we are really getting out of time. I wanted us to answer the question why in Cameroon there is so much talk about national unity, national integration. National unity, national integration for more than 40 decades.
And nothing is changing.
For more than 4 decades today. But the net product of national unity, national integration is regionalism. Almost everybody is going back to identify themselves. Pourquoi ça a échoué? Ou ça n'a pas échoué?
Attendez, nous sommes en train d'aller vers la décentralisation. Vous savez déjà que ça a échoué?
Non, non, ce que je suis en train de dire est que si intégration nationale, unité nationale avait tellement marché, on ne devait pas aujourd'hui en train de parler des mouvements 11 millions des nordistes, du LACAM,
non, ça veut dire que vous n'avez pas suivi.
Allez-y.
Je vous dis, ces mots-là viennent des hommes politiques.
Ok.
D'ailleurs, Mr. Elvis vous a dit tout à l'heure que je ne connais pas bien la politique parce qu'en politique, tous les coups sont permis. C'est ce qu'il a dit. Vous voyez donc que... Est-ce que les coups sont bien? Si on vous tape un coup là, c'est bien? Non, les coups ne sont pas bien. Tous les coups sont permis. Ça veut dire quoi? Ça veut dire que les gars ont compris qu'ils pouvaient partir de la multiplicité des cultures pour faire comprendre aux gens qu'on ne vous aime pas là-bas. Regroupez-vous. C'est des slogans politiques. 10 millions d'habitants, la CAM, ceci, cela, c'est des slogans politiques et quand, et tout ça, et tout ça. C'est des slogans politiques, les Camerounais ne s'y reconnaissent pas.
Okay.
Ça, c'est ce que je voulais d'abord dire. Et dire que l'unité nationale n'a pas porté des fruits, c'est dans l'unité nationale que les Lions indomptables ont gagné 5 fois la Coupe d'Afrique des Nations. C'est dans l'unité nationale que le Cameroun a pu bâtir 5 stades, 26 stades.
Oui, parce que dans l'équipe nationale, il y a des bassins, il y a tout le monde est dedans.
Oui, c'est dans l'intégrité nationale et ce que vous dites là, que le Cameroun est reconnu aujourd'hui par le FMI comme un pays qui produit, un pays résilient en matière d'économie. C'est dans l'intégrité nationale que moi je quitte le sud pour venir parler ici à Douala. C'est dans l'intégrité nationale que cette chaîne existe à Douala. Alors dire que cette intégrité nationale a échoué, c'est un peu aller trop loin. La décentralisation est juste une ouverture, une autre ouverture. Une autre ouverture. C'est dans l'intégrité nationale que le président Paul Biya a eu 38 ans de gouvernance dans ce pays, organisant des élections. Il n'a pas ramassé cela. Ce sont les Camerounais qui ont voté le président de la République. C'est dans l'intégrité nationale que j'ai cité Peter Mafani Moussongue, Inoni Ephraim, et j'en passe, qui ont été ministres venant des zones, Yann Filemon et maintenant Djangouté, qui sortent du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. C'est dans cette intégrité nationale. Alors, il faut qu'on évite. Le NDPC peut ne pas avoir fait comme vous voulez, mais reconnaissez tout au moins que le président de la République en a fait quelque chose. Alors, ce que nous attendons, c'est que les autres partis politiques qui attendent le Covid-19 pour s'acheter les Prado, qui attendent qu'il y ait guerre dans le nord-ouest pour dire aux Européens cotisons, nous attendons que ces partis politiques-là viennent porter une pierre à l'édifice de la construction du pays. Cessez d'écrire les livres de droit. Non, I just want to say something. Arrêtez d'écrire les livres de droit. Écrivez des livres qui peuvent permettre à ce que le Cameroun soit développé.
Il faut qu'on bâtisse.
Oui, il faut qu'on bâtisse le Cameroun. il faut venir aider à amener la paix au nord-ouest. Cessez de prendre le nord-ouest comme un bébé qui a maigri et qu'on voudrait montrer que la maman s'occupe mal de lui. Faites des programmes politiques qui peuvent développer le pays. C'est ça le MLC. C'est ça le MLC.
I want us to go.
Bon, maintenant, je voudrais répondre à mon frère. Parce que lorsqu'il fait les développements, vous êtes beaucoup intelligent, n'est-ce pas? Mais vous avez une particularité. Le raisonnement, c'est du général vers le particulier. Mais vous raisonnez du particulier vers le général. C'est-à-dire, vous prenez un exemple. On donne cours aux militaires et vous généralisez. Le seul centre d'instruction, ce n'est pas Limbé. Le seul centre d'instruction
officielle. Je ne parle pas de Moutengue.
Je vous dis, vous avez pris Moutengue comme exemple et vous avez généralisé.
C'est le français.
Okay. Dr. Kamin, when you look at the lawyers are announcing a strike action, nationwide strike action that is expected to begin on the 30th of this month. No, it may go beyond the 4th. The 30th to the 4th is that they will not put on the rope to the court. Now, why do we have the impression that the relationship between lawyers and the judiciary has been very, very difficult recently? When we also understand that they both are from the same core, just that magistrates and maybe the judges are working for the government and then the lawyers in the private sector.
That is glaring. The government there is to implement its own policies, which are, of course, all of us know what is happening in most African countries, not only in Cameroon. And the lawyers are there, to actually work for the people, for the common citizens. Forget the fact that the lawyers are even working their monies, of course, when they are working for the common person, and they have to defend that, because if they don't do that, they will not eat. But we have come to realize an issue in Cameroon whereby the lawyers actually understand that the judiciary, you find like you get to a court session and you find the magistrate is like being dictated on what to do in a court session by somebody else. Because I think that there's what they call in court, submissions. They call in court submissions. And which, of course, it is on the basis of submissions that a magistrate is supposed to take a decision at the end of a court session. It is not, but when you find magistrates who come to court with premeditated decisions, that is where the lawyers have a problem. And that has been happening in Cameroon. It is recurrent. It is happening. I have been following up even the cases with Syrian militants, whereby they go to court and the decision was already taken. We cannot understand that kind of a thing. We, as the court, is supposed to be a free space, whereby you come and give your proofs about, and that is why our own the common law is very clear that you remain innocent or be proven innocent.
Proven guilty.
Proven guilty. Sorry. But the civil, it is not like the civil law is not like that.
What are you saying that the lawyers are so fair, not corrupt? It is the judiciary that is corrupt.
Well, what I'm saying is that the judiciary is not supposed to be taking orders or instruction from somebody else, because what has happened in the past few years, even starting from 2016, is marks of something else. That apart from what we are thinking about, look at even what's happened with the Anglophone lawyers since 2016. It was like an Anglophone issue, and people were just studying to see what will happen next. You see now it has gone across the Mongo, and now it has touched some people and some other lawyers, and now people are opening their eyes now to us. So it is this. So this was actually something that has been systematized. It's now a system that lawyers are supposed to be maltreated as they are doing today, and now people are opening their eyes. So we are asking that the magistrates who are handling the court should handle the court with free minds and not with pressure. That is what we are saying, and that the lawyers should be allowed to do their job. Because when you come to a court and you find the military in court, spraying tear gas in court, you understand that something is behind the scene. And you know, when you are going on the way and you see a bird dancing, know that the person who is beating the drum is just beside is not far. And therefore, you will understand that those people are working under instructions. Because even before the court session, you already find military people in court. It means that something was already cooked behind. And this is why the lawyers are decrying. Arbitrary arrests and detentions. This is what you should judge people and sentence them and follow the modus operandi. That is what the lawyers are actually asking for. And that's what
Far Evis Tayon, are the lawyers actually disturbing? Or there is good reasons for them to always come up. We saw what the common law lawyers did in the Northwest and Southwest regions. We saw what happened at the Bonajo court recently, and the call by the Bar Council for a nationwide strike. Are the lawyers just disturbing, or there is something that is not right? Are they actually maltreated? And the fact that they come out publicly to express their dissatisfaction, is it the fact that they are more learned, they understand their rights?
Yes, I think that when you see the lawyers take actions like that, it means there's an indication that many things are going wrong. When you live in a state whereby lawyers who work as part of the judiciary are being manhandled, or rough-handled by the same judiciary, it's an indication that something is wrong with the governor. Now, in good governance system, you have what they call separation of power, where the judiciary is independent from the executive, and the executive is independent from the legislative, and all of them act independently. What do you find in Cameroon? If you look during the trial of Ayuk Seseko and many other cases, you realize that most of the times you always have break during the court sessions. Once the military judge goes in, as he comes back, you get a verdict coming out that does not resemble what is on the ground. Now, lawyers have a point. What do we say so? Why do we say they have a point? Because at the period whereby lawyers begins to get being handled in an environment that considers as theirs. Because if they were on the street, like the case of Anglophone lawyers or common law lawyers, we could understand. They were on the street in Munya, they were all this and that. But in the case where they are in the courthouse, in the court of first instance in Bonanjo. Now, this to tell you that, as I said earlier, these are indications that in a dictatorial system, in a system where one man rules for over 38 years, and young people sit on the platform and tell you that c'est bon, it tells you that they have lost their senses to the devil, completely to the devil and Lucifer. Why do we say that? If you look at the verdicts, for example, look at Barrister Awasu Mispa, the president of the women's wing of the CRM. If you realize that while the strike was going on, as she came to give food, I was telling, as I just to let you know, by the time she was picked up, in few hours, she already slapped 6 months, renewable, and transferred to Kondenge. What do you have? The government, when you see a government become repressive, especially on lawyers, ask yourself, what will happen to you and me, who might be clients to these lawyers? It means that in our own case, we'll be toasted left to right. And I remember, Mr. Leo, before now, lawyers, even uniform officers used to respect lawyers, even at police checkpoints and whatever, because lawyers could cause them to move to prison. But now it's the other way around. And we will understand on this platform that CPDM has transformed this state into a military state. We are now in a military state, disguised military state. Whether Dr. Eyenga accepts or not, now it's military ruling.
Are you talking to the people or to
No,
Dr. Eyenga?
No, I'm coming. I am talking because he has to take the message to Yaoundé and to help us change the system.
When you say Yaoundé, get me now.
Why Yaoundé is getting to Eyenga will be is a midway, because if Eyenga is here as CPDM, it means Eyenga is representing Yaoundé on this platform. So I need to address to Dr. Eyenga that while his dictatorial system is going on, if you look at the African Bar Association, that is a repeatable organ bringing bar associations from different African countries, reacting to the way Cameroon is crushing on lawyers, is to tell you that Yaoundé has lost the alignment of normal reasoning faculty. And so where we are now, the lawyers have a role to play. And we think that while the issue is going on, lawyers are supposed to have their say wherever they are. Like what my brother was just saying, it becomes abnormal that even minor cases, everything is military tribunal now. Everything is military court. We start asking ourselves, what is the role of the civilian courts nowadays?
Okay, what is the role of the civilian courts nowadays? The lawyers are fighting for survival. That is, they want to re-establish that respect that they had some years back, because when you look at the way they were treated in Muya, for example, the videos are still there. You saw what happened in Bonanjo. They were really handled. We are not justifying what happened there. Do we think that the calling for this strike action is to call on government to acknowledge the important place or role that a lawyer plays in our society? Because, like he says, if a lawyer can be malhandled the way we see it being done today, what happens to a poor mother who sells in Muya?
Sure, Mr. Liu, I think that the main idea this time around of the strike action from the lawyers is to ring a bell into the hands of the government, that is those ruling. Normally, the government, like Farasli puts it, belongs to the executive, and lawyers are the judiciary. These are two different people. But given that in Cameroon, I think one time on this same platform I said it, that given that in Cameroon there is no separation of power, where the executive at the same time is at the judiciary, the executive at the same time is at the level of the legislative, it becomes very, very difficult. Mr. Alio, permit me tell you that when some of us were in school, it was just like, if I don't become a lawyer, what do I become? Law, because a lawyer is somebody you admire them. You look at their attire first of all. There was this issue of their black coat, their white shirt always. And the lawyer was somebody that used to have the impression that once you were sent to a sale, anywhere he could just come and like, I want to see my client end. But when you look at the case today, Mr. Leo, it is no longer the case. That a lawyer like Barrister Tamfu Richard, whom I take as a friend, and each time I have a situation, I used to call him. But how do I go? What do I do? He tells me, Prince, go like this, do like this. He's given 6 months. Under 3 years duration, and they call it in French, condamné par souci.
Suspended sentence.
Suspended sentence. Do you expect I should call Barrister Tamfu Richard somebody that Barrister have a case when he himself can be tried like me? No.
Tactic intimidation.
No. It means that the legal department, Mr. Lou, because you've asked a very pertinent question. What becomes of one poor mama in Munya Market? It is true the lawyers maybe what happened in Bonanjo is very true that when you investigate it well, it's very true that at one way, 2 of their colleagues may not have played their cards well. But the question is this, Mr. Liu. I may not be of the legal bench, but it's very clear that these 2 lawyers, what sparked the action? Mr. Liu, if I'm taken to a court or to a police station, the law is very clear on it. When you invited me on this topic, I had to make my findings. It's very clear. If Mr. Liu can't present himself, I'm the director of my media Prime Television, I stay in Bonanjo, and there are possible, I stay in Bonamusadi, I will not run. I want Prince out. It's simple. That is what the lawyers demanded in Bonanjo. Let 2 of our colleagues come home with us. What do they get? They get a slam sentence. It goes to tell you, Mr. Leo, that...
Yeah, but the judge have also the right to give him the two weeks.
Sure, the judge has a right. Mr. Leo, permit me tell you that the judge and the lawyer all read from the same articles. It means that if these lawyers, 30 in number, not 1, not 2, not 3, could stand up in a court, they are mindful of the consequences. They are not Okada riders.
Yeah.
It means that they knew that at a certain level there is a particular article that permits them. Permit me tell you that, Leo, amongst these lawyers, there were 2 veteran lawyers, heavyweights.
Make your point.
Yes, who were willing to say, okay, we want these 2 of our colleagues to go home and come back after 2 weeks. My point is that the law permits that if you are sent for detention and that they were to come after 2 weeks,
my question is whether this is the time that lawyers want to reassert themselves to regain that prestigious position, because is it you who said when you were in school you...
Sure. Yeah. Mr. Leo, I think that the lawyers are struggling to get back what has been taken away from them. But I fear, and I think it will be very, very difficult. Mr. Leo, some of us have been in court. We've listened to people judge cases. Even when a lawyer is fighting very strongly that Prince, who is a client, should go home, the state council who represents what they call in French, ministère public,
is dead. Non, monsieur le juge, monsieur le président, on ne peut pas le libérer. On ne peut pas le libérer. And given that there is this mutual relationship between the state council, who is the lawyer of the state, and the judge.
But he's doing his job.
He's doing his job. Mr. Leo, I'm not saying the contrary. A lawyer, Mr. Leo, permit me first of all tell our televiewers that in Cameroon, unlike Nigeria and maybe South Africa, Cameroon does not have a school where they train lawyers. These people don't have these are not people who took advanced level and wrote a competitive exam. We should be able to say that. These are intelligent people. They didn't just get up in a court and start shouting. No, they know what they are doing. And I want to say that what they have done is true. They want their position to be given. They're giving the present dispensation.
Okay,
given that the executive has a very strong hand under the judiciary where they belong, it is regrettable that they are going to cry, just like the Nkongobalas cried in 2016, and nothing was done. We saw a young lawyer called Ewuleli Lyonga in Boya during the case of Wazizi. The young man cried. We want what you call a habeas corpus. We want to see the body. Till today, the body of Wazizi has never been shown, and the case has died, and the lawyers will keep wallowing. Why? Because the executive, just like he said, Mr. Leo, I've been in court. I've listened to people judge cases. A young guy, while I was in court, came to court. It's just a small anecdote. Because it is the court registrar who says why you're there. Once they read, the judge is listening. This man's case.
No, you're getting into the proceedings. Yes.
When the judge heard that this guy is here for abuse of confiance of 50 million, that case was suspended. Which it means that when you're coming back, it is maybe no longer the applicability of the law.
We are looking at the judiciary here. We are looking at the plight of lawyers trying to reassert themselves. You are looking at
lawyers will be able. No, Mr. Lura, I'm saying is that
you are looking at maybe the corrupt nature of our judiciary, and lawyers are also involved
because the executive has a strong hand on the judiciary. For the judiciary,
is it the executive who told the lawyers to collect 3 million from their client and not give to the judge? So we are talking something else. You're getting somewhere. John Zara, good evening to you. Tom Tiku, perhaps good evening to you and to you. Rose Mbanui, good evening to you. Gilberto Salo and Nelson Pangsi. Somebody says I should read their message on WhatsApp. The messages are so many, so I may not see it except I have your name stored on my phone. And when you insist, I may read if possible, but the messages are so many. Many of you accuse me. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The Bar Council has no power to change anything. When Anglophone lawyers went on streets last 4 years and were beaten by police, and now Bar Council was wasting their time by crying foul. Mr. Tazi Felix is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Kum. CPDM people have nothing to offer Cameroonians today. They have failed us for 38 years. Let them give a chance to other Cameroonians. Sylvester is writing from Bamenda. Hello, Mr. Kum. Hello, Mr. Liu and all those in the studio. Good evening. Please ask the man with the white shirt, what is it because of national unity that Cameroon is one of the most corrupt countries in Africa, or is it still because of national unity that we have more than 3 crises going simultaneously in the country and the government cannot solve any? Or is it because of national unity that we have 3 people claiming to be presidents in our country? Okay. This one says, objection, Mr. Liu, tell that panelist to stop lying. How can he say it's because of God and people that why the president is there? Objection. Election has never been won by the president before any election results is known. We don't need to talk on this. Okay. Legend Basil is writing from Germany. Good evening to you. Legend, good evening, sirs. If the disciple cannot express himself, he should not appear there again. Pa Madiba is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Pa Madiba. Stop calling. Well, what makes me happy is because Papa Jesus is alive and he is in charge of all. Please, when speaking on that table, we should have the fear of God. Stay blessed, my children. Oh, what a country, my Cameroon. Let's look on God. Let us not forget that this Cameroon is dedicated to God. Peace, work, fatherland. Let's be careful. Crise is writing from Limbe. Good evening to you, Crise. Good evening to you guys. I enjoy Mr. Elvis. Frankie P is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please let people express themselves. You interrupt people's opinion a lot. If you won't let people say what they have, then don't invite them, because people are already disliking the program because of this. No, you can't talk for 5 minutes and you just want to talk. Please, I'm the moderator now. I have to moderate. If I don't moderate, it means people just talk anyhow. This one says, Leo and crew, more grace to this wonderful program. And please, I want to plead with Anglophones. It is an opportunity that we have to also say some things. They say democracy is not anarchy. So it's not because it's a TV that we shall just say anything anyhow. Please, just bear with us. We have to stay professional. I will not allow anybody to say just anything because we are on TV, please. Leo and crew, more grace to the wonderful program. Tribalism and regionalism have taken the ugly twist in Cameroon and perpetuated by the regime in place. Leo, visit some of the state corporations and ministries. You will understand what I mean. The appointments at each level are tribal, and you can see the divide between the personnel of the ministerial corporation headed by the minister or manager from that region. Missions abroad and within are also tribal. May God save us from this tribal practice that is tearing our country apart. Sebastian is writing from Yaoundé. Michelson writing from Yaoundé says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I want to tell you that even in the markets there in Yaoundé, people do anything to us because we are not from this land. Okay, we share in your plight. Michelson. Prince William from Parombi, the biggest and effective tool for eradicating tribalism in a society or an entire nation is by civilization. As simple as ABC, when civilization comes, tribalism goes. We, our beloved nation, Cameroon, needs to be civilized. Thank you. Good evening to you. Mo writing from Yaoundé says, good evening, Mr. Liu. The truth is, tribalism has become a norm in Cameroon. Okay, good evening to you. This one says, good evening to you, Mr. Liu. Only God knows what will bring peace back to Cameroon, and his days are not far. Fred Fang writing from Mutengen. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu. I think because of tribalism, that's why there's no good sector in Cameroon. If not so, how can we explain the facts that somebody who is not a charter accountant is the Minister of Finance? Okay, Kimbeng is writing from Gembo. Gembo is in Bengui. Good evening, Mr. Liu. This regional election is a non-event for me because the regime in Yaoundé decides on who takes what position. Okay. Emil is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to all on the panel. Keep speaking the truth, Mr. Fa. Cameroon needs outspoken people like you. Juan is writing from Yaoundé. Hello, Mr. Liu. And able panelists, political parties are not only mere instruments of electoral game, but have other vital functions as arena of debates where needs are identified and pressure the government in power to meet those needs, as well as socialization, which orientates the government in the domain of human rights, well-being, and host of others. So the MRC, not being in elections, still can do a lot to change the political, social, and economic landscape of Cameroon. Pius is writing from Douala. Thank you, Mr. Fa and Mr. Mike. Very objective in your arguments. The K. Dimla is writing from Bamenda. Mr. Liu, does it mean that election is more important than human lives? People die every day, but what the government talks about is election. Yesterday, a woman was killed in mile 14, and she happens to be my tribe's lady. She's from my village. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panel. Tribalism, regionalism, and New Year wishes is the foundation of corruption in our country. Therefore, New Year wishes should be out of place, while by nature we can manage the rest. Alex is writing from Tico. Let me take this one last. This one says, Liu, congratulations for good moderation. We are watching. Thank you very much, Mr. Singe Otto. They are the guys who do things differently at the Biaka University Institute of Boya. Oui, monsieur, non, docteur Iyinga. Oui. Oui, est-ce que c'est aussi parce que les avocats se sentent comme s'ils sont au-dessus de la loi, hein? C'est ça, pourquoi on les traite comme ça?
Ce qui s'est passé à Bonanjo, c'est un exemple que nous sommes dans un état démocratique. Oui, c'est un exemple. Les lois ne sont pas les loisirs.
Okay.
Les avocats même disent souvent Duralek Segles. La loi est dure, mais c'est la loi. Comme il s'agit d'un problème de justice, nous ne pouvons pas l'aborder n'importe comment, puisque la justice a bel et bien des éléments que nous n'avons pas. Vous avez posé la question tout à l'heure, qui a demandé aux avocats de collecter l'argent pour aller donner à tel. Il y a beaucoup de choses en bas. Et si certains avocats, heureusement que nous avons encore des grands avocats, si certains avocats ont perdu la notoriété que mon frère disait tout à l'heure, c'est justement parce que ils ont oublié ce qu'ils ont à faire. Ils ont mis l'argent devant. Maintenant, il faut que les avocats comprennent que les forces de l'ordre doivent intervenir. Dès qu'il y a des ordres, les forces de l'ordre doivent intervenir. Même s'il s'agit de qui et à tout le moment. Puisque ce qui est construit là-bas à Bonanjo, comme palais de justice, n'appartient pas aux avocats. Ça appartient à tous les Camerounais. Il est donc inadmissible que vous veniez faire du désordre là-bas. On va vous reprendre. On va vous reprendre, que vous soyez avocat, que vous soyez même procureur. On va vous reprendre. Les ministres sont en prison. On les arrête lorsque l'intégrité du Cameroun est menacée. La liberté d'expression, le travail d'avocat, tout ça s'arrête lorsque la menace existentielle du Cameroun commence à se faire ressentir. Il faut que les Camerounais le sachent. Il faut que les Camerounais comprennent que le Cameroun est, le peuple camerounais est au-dessus de toute envie personnelle. De toute envie personnelle, que ce soit des hommes ou des partis politiques. Il faut que les Camerounais le comprennent. C'est pour ça que lorsque certains leaders des partis politiques veulent aller trop loin, la loi va sévir. Je crois que monsieur Elvis en sait quelque chose. Donc, que vous soyez avocat, que vous soyez quoi, si vous vous comportez mal, la loi va sévir. Duralek Segles. Les avocats, d'autres avocats, parce qu'il y a des grands avocats. Je ne vais pas les citer ici, mais vous savez comme moi qu'il y a des grands avocats qui n'étaient pas là-bas à Bonanjo ce jour-là. Parce que s'ils auraient été là, ça n'allait pas être le cas. Il faut qu'on apprenne à se dire des choses. Chez nous,
oui, mais est-ce que vous avez l'impression que les avocats sont bien traités au Cameroun? Pourquoi ils se plaignent toujours?
La profession d'avocat est une profession libérale. Je crois que c'est ça. Les avocats n'ont pas aussi un salaire, que vous allez dire que c'est le président Paul Biya qui ne leur donne pas de salaire. Non, c'est que vous êtes grand avocat, vous allez vivre dans la grandeur. Vous êtes un petit avocat, qu'est-ce que j'entends par petit avocat? C'est les avocats qui, au lieu de défendre l'homme, défendent plutôt l'argent qu'on leur donne. C'est ça les petits avocats. Si vous êtes maître Achou, maître tel, je vais profiter pour les nommer, vous êtes des grands avocats. Heureusement que vous avez cité. Non, jamais. Je n'ai pas cité les membres de mon parti. Je cite un avocat qui m'a défendu quelque part et que j'ai été fier de lui. C'est lui que je peux citer. On juge le maçon au pied du mur.
Comme maître Michel Doki.
Elle ne m'a pas défendu. Bon, pour le moment, je ne connais pas. Non, je ne connais pas cette performance. J'ai dit, je cite les avocats. On reconnaît le maçon au pied du mur. Je dis, un avocat est grand parce que je l'ai expérimenté. N'est-ce pas? Et évidemment, si tu es donc un avocat qui sème la pagaille, l'avocat est là pour défendre les droits des hommes. L'avocat est là pour se sacrifier même à un moment donné s'il le faut pour des hommes. Mais une fois que l'avocat tombe déjà dans des faits tels que je suis allé prendre de l'argent, j'ai donné ceci, je revendique ceci, là ce n'est plus l'avocat. L'avocature. Je crois que vous partez à la cour, vous savez ce que c'est la déontologie du droit, ce que le juriste doit faire. Lorsque le juriste tombe déjà dans les finances et laisse ce qu'il a à faire. Il est plus juriste pour moi. Je voudrais donc inviter ici, je sais que le président de la République, avec le cortège des procureurs, ils vont passer dans ça, mais il ne faut pas que ça devienne une habitude. Ce que nous voulons dire aux avocats, c'est que ce n'est pas parce que tu as porté la toge que tu es supérieur aux lois de la nation. Aucun Camerounais n'est au-dessus des intérêts des Camerounais. Il faut que les gens le sachent.
Il y a un message que je vais vraiment lire. Hein. Bonsoir, monsieur Léo. Équilibre le plateau. Donc, comme pour dire que les titres sur votre chaîne doivent être écrits en français et en anglais, et aussi que le modérateur doit obligatoirement parler le français aussi pour équilibrer le plateau. Mais je le fais, non, mon frère? Ici, parce que de ma part, c'est vous qui êtes tribal. Ok, c'est pas tribal.
Donc, Mr. Léo, pour chuter, c'est que au RDPC, nous n'aimons pas trop parler à la place de la justice.
Okay.
Parce que la justice a souvent des secrets que parfois il faut les garder. Lorsque un avocat, même s'il a fait quoi, on ne peut pas exposer ça à la face du monde. Mais si les avocats ont été retenus en justice, c'est justement parce qu'il y a eu quelque chose.
Okay.
Donc laissons la justice faire son travail, mais disons tout simplement aux avocats qui ne sont pas au-dessus de la loi.
Okay. Now, why are lawyers coming out now? Recent, we saw them in 2016. They are the ones who actually started what we are observing in the southwest and northwest regions, and then now in Cameroon, they have been there all this while. Why did they have to be undergoing this pressure from either the administration or the judiciary for all these years? Is it that they cannot take it again?
I think lawyers have realized that their role is not only to go and stand in court and talk. They also have a role in the society. I mean, in the face of their clients and all that, and therefore they have to show that vigor. I mean, everywhere and not only in court, because we have also realized that not all lawyers actually defend cases in court. You know that, and there are some who are just negotiators and whatsoever. But they have realized they want to reassert their identity. You know, and one of the important things that I've realized with the lawyers these days is they want to make the true meaning of a syndicate live. What is a syndicate? I mean, you know, people come together and they live one for each other. You know, there is that issue, that bond that is supposed to be within them, that what concerns one of them concerns all of them. I think that that's what an association is all about. That when lawyers and an association, we call it the Cameroon bar. I mean, because at first sometimes you realize that you found lawyers in difficulties, and then the bar was just looking. And they themselves have looked at this and they have seen that they are not actually playing the role of the syndicate. They are not really playing the role of the bar to be each other's keeper. And in the recent days, we have seen that happen. We even have photos of lawyers holding themselves and actually reasserting and saying that we are stronger now more than ever. And it started with the Anglophones, as everything all starts with the Anglophones. And you know, they also are the torch bearers. And they did. And I mean, the whole Cameroon has seen, and the other lawyers are looking at that as a kind of challenge. And they feel that they themselves should live up to that expectation, and they think that together, I mean, whosoever will not be able to break through their camp. And that is why you find that even in the courtroom, that solidarity is gaining grounds, and they are coming more and more together to live as one. That is the image of an association. And we think that lawyers are supposed to actually live up to that bond. Given the matrimony that as I talked already, the court is giving them. You go to a court room and you listen to, the way sometimes lawyers are disgraced. You ask yourself, but is it the war of ideology, intellect, or is it a physical war? I think that in court it is supposed to be what you are able to submit, what you are able to quote as a law. You show how you can defend your client, and it's a war of words. And sometimes you find a way that lawyers are disgraced, lawyers are maltreated. All this because of corruption, because a magistrate who has already taken bribe actually shows it glaringly. I have seen lawyers being hushed down. To take their turn to talk, because the magistrate doesn't want the lawyer to actually.
How does the magistrate receive the money? Is it not through the lawyer?
Well, it's not necessarily through the lawyer. It's not necessarily through the lawyer. In Cameroon, things are really done differently. You have magistrates who sit in bars even with clients. I mean, who sit in private places with clients and receive money directly.
Are the lawyers themselves not participating in this?
Well, of course, we cannot generalize. We know that in every all the granules cannot be, the same. We know that there are some lawyers who are into that, and that is why my co-panelist was talking about lawyers with dignity. And when you're working with dignity, you always have the price of dignity.
Okay. Now they have called for this the strike action. Do you think they'll push through with it, or very soon we're going to hear that there is a meeting between the Minister of Justice and the guys, and that they are going to call it up?
They will push through, but now it will depend if they take to the advice from the African Bar Council, because the African Bar Council understands the kangaroo system in Cameroon, and the African Bar system said they should push through to talk to the leader, the head of the judiciary. The head of the judiciary in Cameroon is not the Minister of Justice. President Paul Biya is the head of the judiciary, is the head of the Supreme Magistracy. So when the African Bar Council mentioned that, it means that it's a message that's sent to the lawyers. If you sit a Minister of Justice in Yaoundé calls you for a meeting, blah blah blah, you post smile, and they pick some small verse and give you, you are finished. But it means there's an issue they need to push through, because if you push to the executive, who is the head of the judiciary, which is not supposed to be so, then you are putting your case at the right place. But the moment you go to the minister, say, bon, on a déjà reçu votre problème, on va transmettre au chef de l'État, which they can not even transmit.
No,
so, in a nutshell, Mr. Leon, while we're ending with this, I think that I got Dr. Yanga speak the other way around. You know, in particular disciplines, they are what we call exceptional treatments. If you go to the national order of doctors, where a doctor falters in operation or the like, there's a way in which they handle it. They go from when a nurse who's a member of that order makes an error medically. I don't know if you're getting me. The same thing in journalism. There are things that even Mr. Leo does or I do, media will not, because those are what we call advertising service, which means there's a particular way of handling it. It's true.
They call it professional solidarity.
Professional solidarity. If you look at it, when if you look at the honorable member from Jakiri, when he took center stage in the National Assembly, when SDF, I talk about honorable Wiba, when SDF parliamentarians disturbed the parliament, the session with whistles for some time. If you look, they had considerations. Sure. You not tell me that okay, person order the law, you begin to act like a mad goat. What Yaoundé has done in competition with Bolanjo is an act of reasoning. Because where is the problem with the lawyers? Okay. If they were on the street, they would have not actually blamed the action, but they consider the courthouse in Bolanjo as part of their affairs. As one doctor says, it's a house for everybody. It's a house for everybody, yes, but those who man it have a greater say. Okay. The way a lawyer will feel free in Bolanjo court is not the same way I as a civilian will feel free. Okay. So that's why I said that doctors do not understand the parameter of it, and so you know simply they have their way of justifying. It is their way of justifying, and they go with wrong things. Thank you.
And you go with the right things.
Yes, we go with the right things. That's why they have to be made to sit up.
Okay.
They have destroyed this country.
Prince Joel, do you think the government might have learned some lessons from the treatment that was reserved for common law lawyers, and then the outcome of the Bolanjo incident, and possibly is going to look into how to get into a better working collaboration with the lawyers, members of the Cameroon Bar Council?
Sure, Mr. Liu, I think that repeatedly we've seen lawyers cry foul. That which occurred in Bamenda in Boya, and recently the one in Bolanjo, is enough message to tell the head of state that, like Fa put it rightly, it's time to tell the head of state that something is not going on well. Mr. Liu, there is a term you've used which I want to borrow. You talked about professional solidarity. In our profession, journalism, not all of us are saints. Even Prince sitting here is not a saint. Yeah. There are things that occurred even with Prince who is sitting here that professionally the media would have blown it. Yeah. You would have come out on tabloids, newspaper headlines, but we say no, we cannot kill our own. Yeah. In the profession of law, these are lawyers. Yeah. And we want to feel that they felt that sending two of us to prison doesn't sell well for us. What do? Let us take them since the law permits us. Yeah. Let us take them on bail because the law permits. The law permitted these lawyers to go home and come back 2 weeks later. But the magistrate or the person who was judging felt, I don't know whether his hands were tied, felt that since he is the overall boss in the court, since he's normally is the overall boss, said, no, you guys are going down. But I want to feel that, Mr. Leo, this situation has come to expose certain lapses at the level of the law. Remember I said something here, Mr. Leo, that these guys are lawyers. And the legal department, law department, Mr. Leo, may not be like journalism that somebody is a medical doctor, gets up something and start writing and start publishing a newspaper. Before you open a house, it is not like maybe a newspaper that you will say, okay, Mr. Leo may not necessarily, or Dr. Yenga, who is not a journalist, opens a newspaper and recruits journalists to write. No. The legal department is a department that for somebody to be called a lawyer, that person must have been trained. And it means that this guy is supposed to master the profession. And I want to believe that, Mr. Leo, this repeated torture on lawyers doesn't sing well.
Okay, it doesn't
like
sing.
he said, Awaso Mispa, who is the national president of the CRM,
Women's Wing.
Women's Wing. Yesterday she was sent to Konegi on a 6 months. The state council who signed says, I'm keeping you for 6 months. You're keeping her for what? For 6 months.
A lawyer, 6 months.
You're keeping her for 6. They are not Joshua, but the lawyer says, I am sending you for 6 months renewable, which means that, Mr. Leo, even as a lawyer, when the 6 months expires, they could still extend it for another 6 months. It doesn't sell the legal department well. It doesn't sell the image of the law department well.
Your point. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Cameroon will prosper. Tagen Donatien is writing from Yaoundé. Let me take some messages and then we call it a day for today. Hello, Mr. Leo. Gu Pongong. I'm happy for the topic of today. Please let the strike go on so that French-speaking Cameroonians should feel the taste of what we are going through. Greetings to my brother, Dr. Ndimanchu. Gu Pongong is writing from Akale Street in Kumba. Good evening to you, my brother. Good evening, Mr. Leo. When the center no longer holds, things are bound to fall apart. Godi is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I enjoy your program because I'm learning many things and I like the way Far Elvis is talking. Arnold is writing from Bengui. Good evening to you, Arnold. Mr. Liu, all these small tribal groups is a strategy put in place by the Biya government to divert the attention of the population from the war ongoing in southern Cameroon. They are creating all the tribal lines to divert the attention of the international community and fool the world that the problems of southern Cameroon is being faced by all the regions in the Republic. Okay, good evening to you. Leo, congratulations for the good moderation. We are watching. Thank you to you also. This one. Good evening, Mr. Leo. YJ Ndi writing from Du. It is not possible to stop tribalism in Cameroon. Just imagine the way they sing about regional balance in the last recruitment of contract teachers is in the basic education. At last, what happened? Our leaders are not ashamed. Okay, maybe their hands are tight. Good evening, Mato from Bamenda. It is a provocation to even mention that nonsense of a decentralization. You will not kill thousands of Anglophones, burn hundreds of villages because a people who are supposed to be a nation of their own ignore the people's call. A legitimate dialogue. Okay, the message is too long. Our from Bamenda says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Tell the guys in the studio what is real today and not what has failed since 1996. If they are realistic, decentralization should not be on discussion anywhere in Cameroon. Now it's old and has no place. Okay, our good evening to you. Ephraim writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. This young man making a lot of noise should stop filling our ears with noise that he doesn't understand. He should spare us with what he doesn't know. All that this less talk. Ephraim is writing from Kumba. I don't know which young man you're talking about, Ephraim. Greetings to everyone in the studio. Please, it's only you people that can draw the attention of international bodies, because I strongly believe they are the only people that can see into these 4 years issues. No parents, okay? That is your name. Good evening, Mr. Liu. May God bless the kangaroo man. Okay, thank you. He's blessed already. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Something baffles me, okay? Hansen is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all in the studio, please. There is no sound. Bawe is writing from Bamenda. Good evening. Donc, come to qui a créé la faculté de droit à Ngaoundéré ne peut pas aller chez les moutons. Vos journalistes, soyez cultivés. Good debate. Simo is writing from Italy. Good evening to you, Simo. Good evening, Mr. Leo, the francophone in the panel. Okay, should not call it Nozo. It is Northwest and Southwest. Okay, Kassam is writing from Bamenda. Masa, you people are not talking the truth. I am Kum Job from Mile 16. I am from Northwest, but I prefer the 10-state federation that will solve the Anglophone crisis. Okay, Job. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo Amgang from Bamenda. Unfortunately, I've struggled to read as much as I can, but I cannot read all. So those of you who will be throwing me stones after this, Mr. Leo, you are biased. You are selecting messages. I'm not selecting, I'm just reading them. But I cannot read all. If not, I will finish here in 30 minutes time because I'm reading message. But we have to end. Merci, docteur, d'être venu.
C'est moi qui vous remercie. Je remercie tous mes copanélistes et je salue les populations anglophones. Je leur demande de garder espoir. La paix va revenir et nous comptons sur leur concours. Comptons sur le concours des populations et des chefs pour qu'ils puissent collaborer. Et nous demandons à nos frères qui sont en brousse de jeter les armes parce que le Cameroun de demain nous appartient. Le Cameroun de demain appartient aux jeunes. Merci.
Okay, we also want to thank you, Doctor, for coming.
Thanks so much, Mr. Liu. It's a pleasure, and we think that our government should practice the good that they preach and not the vice, because I want to talk about the issue of homecoming, because when you appoint ministers because you want to satisfy people, it is a bad thing. Appoint people because you think they can work for the nation. That, I mean, the issue of regional tribalism kills professionalism. I think that you should give professionalism a chance.
Ok, this one, c'est je suis vraiment content de notre nouvelle chaîne. Ok, une fois de plus, merci de hisser le Cameroun de l'avant en termes de médias. Merci beaucoup aussi à vous. Thank you for coming.
No, thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here once more. And you know, it's often said you can fool some people, sometimes you cannot fool all the people all the time. And that's why we said that we are no longer fools. I think that some of us here on the panel should understand that we have to do everything possible to speak the truth. And that's why we are trying to do what we are doing here, while hoping that the bitter truth is that the man who says loves you should only prove the love by telling Yaoundé regime to solve the Anglophone crisis. If doctor is here saying he loves you, is a lie. But when they tell Yaoundé to end the crisis, then the love is there.
Kangaroo man. Yeah. Today when I announced that you are going to be here, 5 persons wrote to me and they say I should ask you when Professor Maurice Kamto is coming to the Northwest and Southwest region.
Well, it has to come. Let him leave him. If he's not under house arrest, he will come.
When the war will end.
Not before the war comes. Because I don't think when you're asking the question or they are asking the question because I read their message.
They sent.
For text message, I don't think President Paul Biya is there. He has not even made a statement on the Anglophone crisis.
No,
I'm talking. It's the president and the president, right? Of a political party. What do their parties? Now, not so.
President Elu.
Yeah, whether it's Elu or not. If a president of a nation and a political party who is sitting cannot go to Northwest and Southwest, that's where the trouble comes from.
Thank you for coming.
It's sacrilege.
It's always a privilege being on board. We chose a microphone as our way. Special good evening to Lord Mayor Kinda Simon and to all those who watch in Mr. J.
Okay, we want to thank you all, and especially to you who produced the program, Eli, and to you, Desmond, and to Bertrand, and to you who watched the program. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.